Greetings, fellow Amblemites! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Since Steven Spielberg doesn't do audio commentary on his own work, we thought we'd do it for him. After all he's done for us, it's the least we could do for him. That's right, folks. It's the penultimate installment before we hit the end of Spielberg's massive film catalog. It's an event so exciting, it will have you dancing in the street, featuring films guaranteed to get glowing reviews in the post. With any luck, you'll love our selections as much as Marie Schrader loves the color purple. Let's walk down the long and winding path Amblin set us down upon with
Spielberg
Month.
Turns 40 this year.
Okay, so Dragon, that's right. Let's dive right into it. West Side Story, my friend. I have glown about this movie. I think it was probably like just outside my top 5 of 2021. It was definitely my top 10. I sang the praises of it. I still think it's definitely one of the best Spielberg movies of the 2000s so far, of the last millennium, basically, of the last 20-ish years. I really think that this is kind of like a culmination of Spielberg's career in a lot of ways, but we'll get to that in background. We'll get to that throughout the commentary. Dragon, of course, this is going to be an interesting one for us to record because I know that you're not necessarily a musical guy. I very much am a musical guy. So just having said that, I imagine you're not as glowing about this movie as I am, but just out of curiosity to set the stage, what are your thoughts?
Well, so, West Side Story, I mean, the story always has kind of intrigued me. I've always been kind of at a distance with it, but from what I've seen about it, I saw the movie like once, like ages ago, the one from '61, I think. It's basically
you saw it way back in 1961.
Sure.
I'm sorry. The way you phrase that. Go ahead. Sorry.
My point is, it's it's basically the musical version Romeo and Juliet, which I can get behind ultimately, which I think this movie very much kind of goes to prove. So, I mean, it's a surprise. It was always, when I heard this thing announced and just kind of all the glowing praise and everything, it's always so surprising to me, that Spielberg would go and make a musical, and it feels kind of like him playing like Hollywood director bingo. Like, what genre can I tackle next? Bingo!
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's always kind of been one of the big appeals of him, though.
I know that's what's interesting about it. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm just saying it's like, it's kind of interesting. You don't expect Spielberg to make a musical because he's never done it before. But then again, pioneering director is kind of what they do. So, I mean, I do have a little bit of nostalgia for West Side Story in kind of an odd capacity. I was a Jet once.
No, were you really? Oh my god!
Right.
Nice.
Well, for one scene, like during the the big "When You're a Jet" song. I don't think I even had many. I don't think I sang much. I mainly did "Can't Be Fighting," but that's about it. So, we did kind of like a '60s Batman, kind of you charge at the guy, Anyway, so the movie. So I think ultimately that's the thing with West Side Story. I think what the movie does is it finds a balance between campy and the dramatic well. And I think a lot of that is thanks to how artful the cinematography is. I think the best thing I could ever say about this film is that the cinematography is stellar. It's some of Spielberg's best cinematography. It's this way. It's some of Janusz Kaminski's finest work in terms of like how he could jazz up the story. And I really like what we do kind of in the Spielberg style, that we key in on the human moments between the set pieces. Like there's one bit in particular in this movie, I'm just like, oh man, that's such a Spielberg touch, and I love it. I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day with this movie is that I liked it, but with the West Side Story, just kind of, story in general, all the window dressing, you can have all the window dressing you want, all like the cool stuff, like the cinematography, and like, okay, you got the music, you got the performance, you got all that sort of, all the trimmings. But there are just some things inherent in this story, and I haven't gone back to the original, so I can't really compare and contrast. I won't be able to do any of that at all here. There are some things I feel just with West Side Story in general, just from a structural point of view, are kind of unfixable issues. And I think if we gave Spielberg a bite at the apple here, and if he couldn't fix them, they're unfixable. I mean, we gave it to, like, so I mean, that's the thing. So I think this is like the best the story's ever going to be told, from kind of an outsider's perspective, not a really an obsessive West Side Story or anything. Just, I've seen it, I've liked it, but I've had a lot of distance from just kind of dipping back into it with this. Like, a lot of good stuff here. I kind of wish we could tighten up a few things here and there, but again, this is the best I can imagine the story is ever going to be told under Spielberg's kind of like little viewfinder. So it was good.
All right, so Dragon, I'll just dive into a few bullet points I have on the production of this thing.
Okay.
So West Side Story was the soundtrack to the Broadway show. Was actually the first piece of popular music that Spielberg fell in love with as a child. His family were big Broadway people, as far as like, having like they were the kind of family that owned all the Broadway soundtracks on vinyl, I assume. And so he would just listen to this soundtrack over and over again, and it was kind of like a big influential part of his childhood. And because of that, the movie is dedicated to his father Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Dragon, the one thing that he did direct that was closest to like a full-blown musical was the opening of Temple of Doom.
Yep.
And that, to him, it was always kind of like a long sort of like, it kind of like created an itch that he wanted to scratch that he never could get around to until this moment. So in the back of his mind, he always really enjoyed working on the Anything Goes sequence from Temple of Doom. And he always kind of wanted to push himself to do a musical based on that. So most importantly, Dragon, he felt the need to revitalize the story because of the themes of, people need to come together in times of hardship, the themes of, kind of like people's cultures, sort of people fighting for their culture and fighting for their identity and barely scraping by. All of these themes were very relevant, Spielberg thought, to the times that we are living in now, Dragon. We live in a society, one could say. I apologize. Tony Kushner was the first person announced attached to the project. Of course, he worked with Spielberg on Munich and Lincoln, as well as being a big theater person in his own right, writing the iconic Angels in America play, which I've never actually seen or looked into, but I've heard it's like, a landmark, like one of the best, like not musicals, but plays ever put to stage. So he signed on as a writer, and Dragon, the big stroke of genius from Tony Kushner that Spielberg just sings the praises of is how he wrote in the Rita Moreno character of being Doc's widow and kind of being the person who was kind of in between the two worlds. Spielberg really cites that as kind of like the master stroke of the entire screenplay. So he came upon the time period. He was looking into the time period that the play is set in, and came upon the construction of the Lincoln Center as the big kind of centerpiece of the movie to give the film kind of like a dramatic flair, a dramatic kind of set piece. And it really works, I think, as far as the production design goes. Just kind of like showing the struggle of like a neighborhood that's literally on the brink of collapse, literally on the brink of being swallowed up by corporate America. And let's see, Dragon, do you know about Spielberg's tradition of springing the news on people that they've been cast?
I've heard he's done it a couple times. I didn't know it was like a tradition.
It's delightful, Dragon. He's like a child when he does it, because he'll like, Dragon, what he'll do is he'll literally like act it out. He'll do that kind of like fake, like, Julie Chen type. Well, I don't know. I should cite Julie Chen. You're not familiar with that, but he'll do kind of like a fake out, Dragon, because they'll answer the phone. It'll be like, oh, like let's cite Rachel Ziegler, who was by far the most excited person to be in this cast. Oh, hey, Rachel. Yeah, how you doing? Well, Rachel, I got to tell you, got some news. Yeah, the part of Maria. You got it.
What if he's really funny if he just...
he likes to kind of like, act all deflated, then spring it on him.
What if he didn't do the spring?
What?
What if he didn't do the spring? What if he just, hey, Rachel, listen, you got it. So I'll see you Monday.
Oh my god. But Dragon, it's just like seeing him talk about that in particular in interviews. It's so adorable. He's like a giddy schoolboy when he talks about like how excited he gets over it still. Like, just being able to bring good news to people.
Yep.
Dragon, most of the cast, all the cast, they have a lot of roots in the Broadway community and performance. Most of these people are performers first. Then you have Ansel Elgort, who literally just got cast because his father knows Leonard Bernstein, which is just like, that is Hollywood nepotism if I've ever seen it. And Ansel Elgort, Dragon, we will talk about it, but
wait, you mean to tell me that the Baby Driver role didn't like appeal to anybody in terms of the casting on this? It was literally just the nepotism.
Dragon, I'm kind of making a joke, but like literally when I look into the casting, that's like the one thing they talk about. Like, well, Ansel Elgort, he's got a legacy connection to the original show. And I'm like, well, yeah, if you watch the movie, I think it's pretty clear that the dude is, I feel like all the other performers are running circles around him as far as like the singing goes. So I don't know. Honestly, I feel like Ansel Elgort maybe was a studio thing too, where it's like, you got to cast one movie star, damn it. All these people are Broadway people. So, we'll get into Ansel.
There is one non-Broadway person in this, though.
I'm sorry, who?
Corey Stoll. He's not. I don't think he's Broadway. I mean, I don't think he is.
I'm pretty sure he's done Broadway, but yeah, you're right.
That's fair. All right.
Sure. Anyways, finally, Dragon, with the film, kind of sweeping. It didn't necessarily sweep the Oscars, but it got a lot of nominations. It ended up on a lot of people's top 10 lists. And Ariana DeBose won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, which is a really super cool bookend as far as Rita Moreno winning the Academy Award for the same role. And we'll get into Ansel Elgort as far as like how problematic he is for this movie, both behind and in front of the camera. I think he's easily the weakest part of it. But besides that, that's about all I have as far as background goes, Dragon.
Okay.
All right. So you want to hype up the just to check, Dragon, we're both using the Disney Plus version of this, right?
You are correct, sir.
Cool. Because I don't know, this movie, for some reason, it ended up on like 2 or 3 different streaming services.
Yeah, if I'm right, it's on HBO Max and this. And I
think it's insane how it's on HBO Max. But
I know at one point it was. I don't know if it still is. I just need to assume that it's. Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know.
All right, so Dragon, just kind of like give the little tutorial on how we're doing this.
All right, folks, we like to call this the lethal weapon approach, as in we're going to line up the movie. Again, we're going to try and keep it as conversational and kind of linear, kind of going from start to finish as we can. So ideally, it's like, oh man, they're just kind of talking through the movie, kind of from point A to point B. But if you want to just kind of watch along, it's like, I don't want to put on the movie. I just want to hear them talk about the movie. You can do that. But if you want to follow along with us and have like a visual aid, and again, hopefully, we'll time things out rightly because you have different time zones and stuff. It gets annoying as you wouldn't believe. But let's just say, when we say we're going to go on go. When Tiki says go, you're going to hit the play button. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, go. But when he says it, that's when you hit the button while you have your Disney Plus or the DVD or the Blu-ray, whatever you have, just kind of queued up at the 0 mark, the black before it starts, before you see like the old Fox searchlight of it all. So again, like the space right before then, and you can follow along with us again when Tiki says go.
All right, so let's just jump right into it, Dragon. Without further ado, West Side Story in 1, 2, 3. Go. All right. Are you used to seeing the 20th Century Studios logo and not the Fox?
Still getting used to it, yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird.
I like that they kept the logo though, but again, it is weird.
I still wish that one day they would just put the 20th Century fanfare next to a Star Wars movie again, just for old time's sake.
That would be great.
All right, so of course, I love how this movie just starts right off the bat with the iconic whistling against the black screen. I feel like that really sets the tone right away. And Dragon, this opening sequence, I think, does a lot to show, like, it's basically kind of like a we're not in Kansas anymore as far as how this movie is going to be portrayed to the modern audience. I mean, just this opening shot right here of the kind of like the crumbling ruins of what's going to become Lincoln Center.
So that's the thing. I want to talk about Lincoln Center for a second.
Yeah.
Here. So I can't speak to the original, like the musical itself here, but just like in terms of what the story is presented here, I love the ironic justification of like why it's a musical with Lincoln Center, which I believe is like kind of a center for the arts as well. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm saying it's kind of fitting that, it's kind of justifying kind of the musical kind of emphasis that's kind of placed in the film. And again, it kind of correlates with the whole, like, again, kind of the era is changing kind of from, kind of the 50s era, kind of bridging into kind of like the upscale 60s.
So this right here, I mean, this kind of shot, like, this is why I was raving about this movie and like just saying like, oh my God, it's cinematic porn.
Again, it's Kaminsky's just killing it on this movie. The honest Kaminsky's been Spielberg's guy for basically from a certain point in his career onward. He's never stopped being a cinematographer at a certain point. And he's just this is some of his finest work.
I mean, I think it's very, very clever, like visual metaphor right away as far as like this city that we're going to be spending our time in is going to literally be a war zone.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Just that swooping shot down the wrecking ball. Jesus.
What we're about to see as the thing's just about to get started. I mean, I think the biggest tone-setting thing in the best sense of the word is what we get from the cinematography and just kind of like in general, so with the choreography it's just the organization. The choreography gives you like a sense of it gives you a sense of scale and organization. That's the thing that bridges it away from just being campy. Like, oh, look at him just singing and dancing. It's like, no, it's intimidating.
The interesting thing about the choreography is that for the most part, it's not really changed up from the original production.
I know, it's just kind of like here. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It's more so that it's all so in unison, and there's like an intimidation factor that wasn't there before. Where it's like these guys are kind of like a unit of sorts, in which like they're walking down the street and the jets are everywhere. It's like they're full court of owsing. They're embedded into the community, one could say. And I love this men working, and it's like bam. That's what I'm saying. Like
totally.
Like we're making visually, we're. It's somewhat of a wonder. I mean, at least for a couple of these shots here, we're just kind of following as they're kind of walking down the streets, and we're seeing history on the block. Like there's Doc's drugstore, which is kind of like the Switzerland of it all. It's kind of like the blending of the two communities. It's kind of off limits, and we're going to break that rule kind of towards the third act for a big kind of scary scene. And that's what I'm saying. We're giving the city character and just kind of really introducing the Jets in a really, really neat way. And basically, it's like the mission statement. It feels like for Spielberg, like, let me justify the campiness and like the snapping and everything. Let me make it cool again.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think one of the visual things about this movie that really sticks out to me is the color grading on it.
Which usually could go really south and many other things.
Right, and it's got like a very kind of like vintage, sort of like almost tinted look to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I gotta be honest. I was worried about that in the trailer. That was like one of the things. Like, oh, so okay, Spielberg's doing a musical, and it's like looking a little like the trailer. I don't think the trailer did West Side Story a lot.
No, I totally agree. Actually, I think from the vibe I got from the trailers was that this was going to be a Lion King style, just shot for
exactly.
shot.
That's the vibe I got from it too. Yeah.
And obviously it's not, and we'll get into it with how they change things up. Right here, great visual transition.
Yep.
Going into the barrio.
Of course, I just love just in general. New York is probably one of the best locations on the planet. I got to be honest, in terms of how you can construct a place and just kind of have like the cultural melting pot. And again, during the transitional phase in history, where okay, so basically what the Jets are doing here, like one of my favorite bits is with the sign where they remove the sign that says like it's a restaurant, and then we reveal it's like an Irish pub, what used to be there. And I love it's like they're not like destroying the place or anything. You're just like, hey, we were here first. That's like they're just dropping the signs.
It's basically like a territory battle.
Exactly, and I love it. They're not destroying the signs. Like, hey, you have to put up again, haha, and they're all
right.
Yeah,
those little hoodlums.
Yeah, like the worst thing they're doing here is, I mean, it's it's destruction of property, but it is just paint, and for all, it's.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think the symbolic thing that they're doing here
No,
is
of
pretty
course, yeah. Right nowadays, like in the
bad.
very PC culture we have, like, man, this is an utter hate crime. Where in
But I
the
mean,
'80s, it
I
was
love how
like,
this film doesn't shy away from that, though. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It very easily could have, and I absolutely think that that In the Heights did shy away from the racial tension that's present in that story. And I mean, obviously, West Side Story, it's all built on racial tension. Like racial tension is one of the just one of the elements of In the Heights. But anyways,
yeah. Well, on the whole, though, it is really that is kind of the cool thing about this movie is that we brought a modern sensibility without being like ham-fisted about it. Is that it's kind of that, like, for example, the character we're seeing getting trampled right now, that character is gonna have kind of like a big kind of moment later on. You're gonna have kind of we have a tomboy character in the original has been turned into kind of like a trans kind of character, but
mhm.
without it like being like spoon feeding it. This is important,
Yeah,
This is
absolutely, absolutely.
we
I
have
think
to.
it's a great bit of this movie. Also, one of the things I want to talk about the movie as far as representation goes, Dragon, is it's kind of funny because do you remember at all how the In the Heights movie got criticized because it was like, oh, these people from the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and whatnot, they're not dark skinned enough. Do you remember that?
No, but real quick, I want to interject. I love
Okay.
the alleyways. I love when we run down the alleyways, and I love like how confined it feels, and like when this baby John here gets trapped and everything. I love it. But anyway, yes.
Uh,
So no, I didn't hear the skin thing. All I remember within the Heights was like it was very much confused for like, oh, this is like like
and I
this.
thought that was like the most ridiculous asinine controversy. And so, Dragon, no less than Hollywood royalty Rita Moreno herself comes out and basically says criticizes the original West Side Story in the sense that like they literally had makeup to darken all their actors, on the shark side of things to kind of go with a consistent color tone. And the thing about this culture is that the color tones are it very much is kind of like a I don't know how other to describe it. That it's a rainbow dragon. There's lighter tones, there's darker
Yeah, yeah.
tones.
Basically, the idea is that everyone has a story, and everyone like there was kind of like a mixed element to a lot of to kind of a lot of Puerto Rican, skin tones as well as just kind of like there's a history involved there for all we know. So I like that there's kind of like it's not no basically no Puerto Rican character that looks the same necessarily. It kind of adds like
So,
kind of
for
like
example,
character depth.
Ariana DeBose is Latin and African American, and
Yeah,
that was kind of like a part of her character
yeah.
when they wrote it. So,
Which is really fascinating. So real
yeah,
quick,
yeah.
few things. One, we just kind of had when Riff and Bernardo were going up against it. It was very much like a Dark Knight Rises, like the armies are going at it and the leaders are like kind of walking towards each other. It was just really awesome and just how that was shot. But also, we got the great Brian Darcy James, who played Shrek on
Ladies and
Broadway, and he
gentlemen,
was
the keys of this movie.
yes. So we have him. Of course, he was Shrek on Broadway, and he was in 13 Reasons Why. Point is, Brian Darcy James is a good actor, and my
Oh,
favorite, my one of the big stands for me. I love me some Corey Stoll, and he's in here doing a great job as Lieutenant Shrank.
I had a feeling you'd like that character.
I was saying in general, I love Corey Stoll. I love when it pops up. He was really great in House of Cards, and obviously he was in Ant Man. Every time Corey Stoll pops up, it's a good time. He's in there. He was really good in the Nurse Ratched show for like the brief role that he had. Anyway, so
I
he
mean, I don't necessarily think it's realistic to today's time, but I really do like that the police are just kind of like, they're kind of in over their heads. They're trying to keep the peace, but they know it's sort of like an impossible task,
how was that unrealistic to you today?
Well, I'm just saying, I think today they wouldn't be trying to keep the peace.
Oh, right. Well, that's the thing, though. It's just the fact I do love this, though. I love the acknowledgement of it. Back then, there absolutely was this sort of mentality of like, okay, well, you kind of have like a brokerage with the gangs, and like, okay, look, guys, just follow the unwritten rules, and we won't hassle you as often, just as
Uh-huh,
long as
uh-huh.
the key things you don't do. And I like ultimately what I really like about Lieutenant Shrank and the dynamic here is that he is prejudiced, like every white man in the 50s that we usually portray. And, he's prejudiced, kind of in kind of this unit here where he's like, okay, guys, look, help me put him away so I can get him off the streets. So you won't have to kill each other. All right, just so it's like I like that. He's like, I'm sharing your mindset. Just confess, like rat on the guy so we can put him away. I have an excuse to do so. And I
Right.
really like that.
All right, so we got to highlight the two gang leaders here, who I honestly think maybe have the best performances in the movie.
Yeah, Bernardo was really stood out. I love the actor who did Bernardo.
David Alvarez, yeah.
He was really good.
He was plucked right out of the Billy Elliot musical, Dragon.
Huh.
It's funny because he won a Tony for the Billy Elliot musical, and then he didn't really act at all, either on stage or screen until then. But Spielberg remembered seeing him in the Billy Elliot musical, and he specifically requested that they seek him out. And as for Mike Feist, Dragon, do you have any idea where Mike Feist is from?
I mean, he looked very familiar, and I don't know, his cadence.
I don't think you're going to recognize him, but he's from Dear Evan Hansen, of all things.
Oh, there you go.
He plays the kid who kills himself at the beginning of that show.
Okay.
Widely regarded as the best performance from that show.
Well, that kid knows how to die. I'll say that much.
Oh God, wow! But Mike Feist, Dragon, Mike Feist in particular, I think I love his performance. I genuinely think he's probably the best performance in the movie. I love his sense of desperation and sort of nihilism under the guise of trying to keep up a strong front for his for his boys.
I love how wisecracking he is too here.
But it's all such an obvious camouflage though. Yes. And that's the element of his performance that I really love.
With him, I like how we're laying it out on Front Street here with Shrank, and just in conjunction with kind of how we're playing close to the vest with Riff. But with Lieutenant Shrank here, I like that the dynamic here in which he's just kind of laying it out that the Puerto Ricans essentially are outnumbering us, and the whole basically you guys again I believe it's they're the last of the can't make it Caucasians, which is a really good line. And I just love it that he's just basically saying, you guys, your days are numbered. And basically, this is exposition with kind of a little bit of kind of swagger to it, which I really dug. So the whole until that last building.
And Spielberg always does exposition with swagger. That's one of his calling cards.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I just like that he's mentioning that essentially there is a very key timeline to this story in which you have maybe a few weeks to a few months until the whole neighborhood's gone, so your days are numbered. Which is why the Rumble is so important, that we have to cling to as much power as we have before. Again, we're living in nicer neighborhoods in which Puerto Rican doormen will outrank kind of the the street toughs. They'll hold the power, and legally there'll be no recourse. So again, it's just basically the cops are basically playing babysitter until that time passes. So again, it's kind of like the confluence of the construction. Everything in New York is kind of interconnected here. You have the police are trying to keep the gangs out of the construction zones. The construction projects can go off without a hitch, and essentially that's kind of the system we have going on here.
All right.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's we're basically about to launch into the When You're a Jet song. And what's interesting about this though is that less than just we have a reason for the song. Basically, the reason for the song here is we're hyping up Tony, our guy Tony, who is the co-founder of the Jets, which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon, I'm sorry. I love this song. I really like how it's done. Man, just the Ansel Elgort thing. It's hard to take the building up Tony thing seriously when I know how weak Tony's going to be in this film.
I mean, did you ever see because again, I can't speak to it at all myself. Can you remember the original West Side Story at all?
Yes, and I do
how
think
milquetoast was Tony.
I think this movie is a way stronger version of the story in a lot of ways, but I think the Tony is definitely better in that one.
Okay, so you're saying Tony is not as milquetoast as
Dragon. I'm saying Ansel Elgort. No, Ansel Elgort. I think just I certainly don't think it helps that he's literally surrounded by world class Broadway talent. But yeah, I think he's clearly the odd one out of the cast.
You know what I think is I won't lie. He's not going to be the most spectacular element of the film, but I will say this. I think ultimately it's kind of a perspective thing where I think I'm more for the straight arrow characters, and I think you're more for just kind of I don't know.
Dragon, I'm purely talking about singing ability at this point with him, honestly.
Really? Is it just the singing ability?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit.
Did he work just in the performance category for you, or is it just the singing?
I don't know. I mean,
I think he's got some really good performance.
Fine, but again, I mean, I think it's Anyways, let's not dwell on Tony. We'll have plenty
Well,
of
I think we should put a pin in
Tony.
that because we got to get to when we get to the most pivotal song for Tony in the movie. That's when we should probably talk about like how he's
Tonight.
Well, I was thinking that I just met a girl named Maria, but it's.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this was the my jet experience, by the way, during the when you're. I think I don't know. I think we passed my part, but it was like somewhere.
Well, you mentioned something about like the stage fighting.
Yeah. It was mainly a stage fighting, but like a little bit. I wasn't the lead guy. I wasn't Riff.
Well, yeah, because if you were Riff, you'd be throughout the whole show.
Yeah, well, I wasn't in the. It was just like a scene, so we didn't put in like a whole thing of the thing. It was just like literally part of basically it was this song, or at least a portion of this song.
It's when we need an extra amount of people on stage to show how big the Jet Gang is.
Sure. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I just love the organization. Again, this is kind of making it sing for me here. Like, look at them all, just like they can get away with the dancing because they're all just kind of imposing as they're all doing it in unison.
Yeah. And again, the production design is just really on point, along with the cinematography. I mean, it's like I don't know. I'm gonna get a little repetitive with praising both of those things, but it's true. I think it just elevates a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
And there's our boy.
Yeah, little baby driver himself. Look at him. Look at him catch that can. Yeah.
It is a good transition.
Yeah. So again, I really love the location of Doc's Drugstore. I love the history that it tells, and we kind of learn everything we need about Tony again via the whole "When You're a Jet" song. But also, I think everything we really need to know is through Doc's Drugstore, where it's that he has we see the respect he has for Valentina. And Valentina, she's the idea. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the idea like she raised him practically? And that
yes. And that is really that's definitely one of the elements of the basically Dragon. Like I said, Valentina is kind of like the key to everything as far as like this adaptation goes, because I think she gives the film a lot more of an emotional. Because Doc is basically like just kind of like he was loving towards the boys, but he wasn't like he was a father figure, but it wasn't like a personal thing with Tony. You know what I mean? Whereas Valentina very much is kind of like a she raised him sort of thing, and I don't necessarily think that was there with Doc as a character.
Well, I'm saying, was Doc in the original, like because they killed?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, Doc was Doc was basically just kind of like the the guy who oversaw Switzerland, if you will. Like he was, he was kind of like a father figure to the Jets as a whole.
Gotcha.
But what I'm saying is that there wasn't necessarily like as big of a personal relationship between him and Tony specifically.
Well, I like the idea we've given a circumstance that would believably give us, like Tony being kind of the representation, the walking representation of of Switzerland, which he came out of prison, so he needs to be on his best behavior. Ergo, the Jets aren't going to bust his chops instantly over like why he's like not really anti-Puerto Rican like the rest of them. But it's also the fact that again he kind of has a Puerto Rican upbringing, and again the fact that there's kind of a niche there. Riff sees her as like a gringa, as she puts it, because she was married to kind of an American, so she was kind of grandfathered in that way or some such, kind of blended into the family like that. So again, it's kind of like an interesting kind of eggshells we're walking on with that gives us like an opportunity for Tony to be kind of the open-minded of the bunch. So it's that all I think kind of came together really nicely.
Sure. And I definitely think that the strongest elements of Tony as a character in this movie, at least as far as performance goes, is when he is interacting with Rita Moreno, which we'll get to.
Oh, for sure.
Honestly, in this scene, I do think that Mike Feist is kind of like acting circles around him, even just acting. Like, I mean, just again, Mike Feist, I think just the way that the sheer desperation that you can see in his eyes and just how he conducts himself, like kind of like the nervous smile that's about to crack under the weight of his own pressure. I don't know. There's just something really captivating about his performance.
Right. Yeah, you do have to cut Elgort just a little bit of slack, because sometimes the straight arrow does have a burden to kind of wade through.
For sure. I don't necessarily want to get into like the allegations with Ansel Elgort, but that is also kind of like unfortunately a thing that sort of casts a shadow over the character as well.
I have no idea what you're talking about with that, but
I haven't really looked into it, but yeah.
In regards to taking the piece on its own, though.
Uh-huh.
Regardless, so Rita Moreno, of course, this was like a stroke of brilliance. So, like, yeah, let's work her into the film in kind of the Anita, like from take her. She was the Anita in the like the original.
Her initial reaction to Spielberg asking her to do it was, "I don't do cameos." That's really nice, Stephen, but I don't do cameos. And it's like,
oh no,
Stephen's like, "Oh, Rita, no.
What do you think I am? What kind of green director do you take me for? Do you see this Oscar? Do you see it on my shelf, Rita? Let me tell you what I got in mind for you."
Well, to be fair, Spielberg gives all the credit in the world to Tony Kushner for coming up with this role.
Right.
But yeah.
Plus, so it's a really good idea. Like let's kind of like grandfather into this in a really in a way that would really complement things in a role that would kind of pay a lot of homage to her in kind of like a meta way. It was really clever.
Sure.
And look at her laying out on Front Street here about the whole your boys here. I don't like them. I tolerate them, but I don't like them.
Right. And I do, like I said, I do think that the emotional core that he has with Valentina, like, honestly, I buy this dynamic more than I buy his dynamic with Maria, but we'll get there. And you know what? To be fair, I do enjoy this song. I honestly think this opening song with Tony is probably the honestly, it might be my highlight of his songs just because I like how playful he is.
Yeah. I really I love the final note he hits with the whole maybe tonight thing and how that looks with the cinematography and like the nighttime, the lights and everything. And I honestly, I like how we're kind of like, we build the theme of tonight to build to the whole tonight, da, 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 da.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big part of the original show as well. The tonight thing. That melody is probably like the core melody of the whole thing. It's probably like the main theme of the show. But yeah, you're right. I do love how it kind of blends its way throughout the whole thing, the whole production. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Ansel Elgort works more as far as the singing goes in these more playful numbers, as opposed to like the Maria song where I think he's trying, he's giving it his all, but I just think I don't know. We'll get there.
I just want to take a moment just to acknowledge it. The Old Timey Drugstore, always a great location. I love
it's a great set piece for sure.
Look at the little moving ladder on the wheels. How great is that? That and the stools.
All the old-fashioned candies.
Yeah, the old candies and the fact you got stools.
Uh-huh.
They probably have ice cream behind there somewhere, like the drugstores had, and you got all the old products.
It's always also kind of fascinated me how these old drugstores, it's basically like just half drugs, like half pharmacy, half candy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's the Coca-Cola, there's the pinball machine, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say this film does it takes a minute to get going. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, then they're gonna face kind of a time crunch, which I don't know how much it helps them or hurts them, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. As far as the time crunch goes, you mean like just the fact that Maria and Tony fall in love in a short amount of time?
I think the biggest uphill battle this movie has is the fact that we have a ticking clock between, like, essentially, if I recall, it's like either like we have like the rumble that goes on over the course of, let's see, if I recall, we have the dance tonight, the rumble gets set up for tomorrow, and then it's literally over 2 days. I mean, I would have given like 3 days to a week just to kind of allow some breathing room. Maybe he and Maria get to know each other. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the whole play does take place within like about 48 hours. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not necessarily knocking it for it being that way, but I am going to say that's an uphill battle, which I can see the difficulty there, particularly when you're doing a love story, which already nowadays, especially in the modern context, we cut through it like Swiss cheese, though. Like, you can't marry a man you just met to, like, you can't, like, that's moving a little fast. Maybe we should, get to know each other before we're about to run away like Casablanca.
Right.
That's the thing. That's the biggest uphill battle, which, again, looking at the movie like twice or so at this point, like, I guess this being like probably the third watch.
All right.
It's still hard to kind of wrap my mind around like how big, but again, we'll get more into that later. So Maria.
Yeah, so Rachel Ziegler, Dragon, she the only real experience she had was playing Princess Fiona in her high school production of Shrek the Musical.
Which is
And
ironic, given
she
Brian Darcy James being in this.
yeah. And she basically just got cast through a blind audition, Dragon. Essentially what happened was the casting director just sent out like a blind casting call on Twitter. And she was like maybe like the second or third person they saw for the role, and they just instantly fell in love with her. It was very much kind of like a love at first sight sort of thing. Now I do think that Maria's balcony, that first establishing shot we get of it, it's obviously the most iconic set piece of West Side Story, I think. And because of that, I do think it is the thing in the film that most closely visually resembles the original film. Do you agree with that? I feel like that's like the one thing in this film where we really, really try to get it as shot by shot as we can in certain ways.
Well, you have to, because again, it does convey the whole modern day, even back then. This is how you update like a Romeo and Juliet situation. This is the naturally kind of like urban version of the balcony scene. See, it really neat.
Right.
And again, it looks spectacular. It looks great. It looks very intricate. Later on, we do some really cool things, kind of like a cage, a prison of sorts, like when he's, kind of with the fingers through like the little grate.
Yeah. All right, so Anita, played by Ariana DeBose. Dragon, do you remember Ariana DeBose in Hamilton at all?
Well, I mean, I'm going to assume she was wearing a frilly dress and singing, so not really.
She was the Bullet. Do you remember the Bullet?
Not really.
So essentially, like every time there'd be like a big dramatic moment where a gunshot goes off, she would be kind of like staged as the person, like in the big kind of like climactic duel between Hamilton and Burr. When their gunshots go off, she's kind of like seen in the background, like going slowly towards Hamilton as Hamilton's giving his monologue.
Right.
I think it's very interesting how she came off of Hamilton, where that role is, I don't even necessarily think, like, I'm sure she gets singing parts as far as like being in the ensemble is concerned. But that role is like kind of like one of a very interesting kind of like unspoken, like it's kind of like the beating heartbeat of Hamilton in some ways, where it's like kind of like the sort of like the main cog that makes everything else turn. So I really think it's interesting that she went from that to just Anita, who's absolutely, I think, the heartbeat of the whole story in a lot of ways with West Side Story. I think Anita is probably like the most iconic character in West Side Story, all intents and purposes.
I want to talk about Chino here, because he's one of my favorite characters in the movie. I love Chino.
I love his arc. Yeah, I really feel like they nail down his dilemma and his circumstance really well in this movie.
Because, of course, my MVP for the movie is Bernardo, so I love the idea of Bernardo here. Like, this is the guy that he approves of for his sister, and the fact like they're friends, and he kind of like sets him up here. And I love that kind of like he wants better for almost like a Michael Corleone sort of thing here, like, in a sense of like it's kind of like Sonny. It's kind of like what if Sonny had a dynamic like this with Michael Corleone? It's like, hey, you're like a brother to me. I want you in the family. Like you're safe for my sister, and I want better things for you. I don't want you to be a jet because we do this because we have to. You can be the successful Puerto Rican, essentially.
Totally.
So all that is great to me, and knowing what happens to this poor kid, just the fact that again he's kind of like teased with like the main girl of the movie, and I love that it's not pure like just machismo jealousy, but it's kind of like a dutiful jealousy. Like all that really works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he seems like a nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, I definitely think he kind of like falls into the kind of like the tragic role in this story of kind of like the tragic heel. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, ultimately, yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting direction to go. I mean, of course, it's all part of the original story, but I just think that the framing of this, I really think that the heartbeat of this movie really, I don't know. There's just something about the way that this movie flows into itself. And I do think the production design is a big part of it. Because one thing that I will criticize the original for is that the original's great, don't get me wrong. But like, for example, the In America song, we're just, we're literally doing the In America song on a soundstage that looks like a rooftop.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's like literally dancing in the streets of the actual New York, dressed up to be, in time period. You know what I mean? It's like there's a significant jump up as far as visual storytelling goes.
There's one detail I want to mention, because it's already kind of past when they're both in frame, but they'll be in frame later. Is the Maria and Bernardo here. Oh, actually, looking at them now, like, I love the color scheme. They're both in the white and red. Really nice. Just getting good wardrobe. Just want to, they're at the big. Of course, this is a hilarious idea to me, by the way. This is a cute idea, I should say. It's that the fact that in a musical, which the big sell is that everyone dances, particularly, and like dancing. Oh, let's dance, and they're fighting and rumbling and all that sort of stuff, and you have just kind of dancing. Like I said, when they go to a dance, it's going to be a big lavish affair, very
right, totally.
So that's really funny to me. Like this, when they dance, they mean business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like the Jets here, they're doing like kind of like a mating dance of sorts to dance.
No, I really love this. Yeah. This whole thing. The production design, once again, take a shot. I think this scene might have my favorite use of color in the movie, just between all the different costumes.
Yeah.
I think it's a bold choice because I don't know how much you remember the original film, but the original film, Rita Moreno wears a very iconic purple dress, and I think it's a bold choice to not have Anita in that purple dress, and I think it kind of speaks to the fact that this isn't just trying to completely emulate the original. It's trying to be.
I think the black and red looks so much better on her than purple would. So it's kind of like a choice, like, we'll befit this iteration of that character. Well,
right.
And I like that you can kind of see a visual, kind of distinct difference between the kind of the Puerto Rican cast and the kind of the non-Puerto Rican side here, where we're very much just like we have kind of very classic '50s look, very much like teals and stuff, in which we don't have any teals. We have kind of we don't have have more kind of like a setting that would befit kind of like their section of town. Like we have like the white picket fence kind of 50s on the left, and we have just kind of like, okay, we're in the deep roots of the city with the right side.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's why I think the color in the scene just pops so much. I mean, just look at this, just the blue contrasted against the yellow.
Oh, and there's a Spielberg touch. Look at those lights. Look at those lights.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like J.J. Abrams took that, design and kind of like went overboard with his style, but Spielberg does it just right, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he does. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, by the way, Officer Krupke, just going to mention it. Principal Krupp from the Captain Underpants books has to be in reference to Krupke, right?
I guess. I'm not really sure.
I'm just saying with the Krupp and Krupke, honestly, because you always have just kind of this hilarious kind of butt of the joke with kind of Krupke throughout West Side Story. Just, I don't know. He's always kind of like a beat behind. He's always, oh, my ulcer. He says, this man has no business being in the police force.
Yeah, but this principal, man, he is just like...
He's giving it a shot. He's giving it a fair shot. Come on, guys, let's give it a shot. Let's do,
But I like how it's just this scene very clearly just represents like these kids are not going to play by the rules. They're not going to listen to authority. They're marching to the beat of their own drum.
Yeah, it's like the one thing they can agree on. We don't like adults. We don't like
this
integration idea. We don't like it. Look at that necklace like on top of the tie. That's nice. It's kind of like a natural version of. I'm sorry, I'm fixating on Bernardo's wardrobe, but
no, it's all good.
He's a dapper-looking chap. This is a very attractive couple I'm looking at right now. look at the Riff here, Riff and his girlfriend. But I love the introduction of Riff's girlfriend earlier on. It's like, okay, yeah, there's, we're getting hot and heavy in the 50s here. We are. Like she's coming out of there like in her shorts and everything.
And Riff's just basically just like, yeah, what of it?
Yeah. And there's Chino is just kind of sensing. I'm not.
Chino is just like he's like just so desperately just trying to hold on to Maria's attention, and he just knows it's just not working. She's just not feeling it.
I love the actors just kind of playing Chino. Like, yeah, I'm kind of realizing I'm not the hero of this movie. Like I was promised.
Right, exactly.
Just like wait a minute. It says here in the script the girl's supposed to go to the dance with me, and then I didn't read the fine print, but I was led to think something else would happen here. Yeah, right here. This imagine there's a what if for you. Imagine if this dance thing actually did go like the whole like We're gonna give it a shot. Hey, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe we don't have to kill each other with knives.
I mean, I imagine that multiple lives would be spared because of that.
Yeah.
So in a way, the principal probably is like the most morally upright character in the film.
I mean, yeah, he's
if they would have just listened to him,
more out of a mandate, but yeah, sure.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. And again, just look how nuts they're going with the dancing.
What I'm saying again, this is like you a dance in West Side Story. It's got to be a dance with a capital D, man. I like how we're working in anybody on the rewatch. Like anybody's just kind of worked into a lot of these scenes, like a real kind of like fun member of the gang.
Mm-hmm.
Just notice this, like the redheaded chaperone just kind of bobbing her, like. So he's like, "Yeah, look at him dance. Look at this choreography. Yeah, it's crazy. Did I miss the rehearsal?" So again, this is kind of like the rumba of the rumble, one could say.
No, but I mean, it absolutely is really interesting how this whole dance is kind of like it's got the same energy as a fight scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is obviously very appropriate for the story and this material. I really think it's because when you look at the original film's dance scene, it's more or less just basically just a dance. I don't think there's quite as much of the combative element of it. It's more so just kind of like the showcase to get Maria and Tony together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, oh my God, Bernardo is just out of control with the dance. I mean, I think he is probably the most talented dancer out of the cast.
Yeah. Well, again, boxers have fancy footwork.
Of course.
Hey, why did you get like the importance of Maria's lipstick at all?
No, why?
I'm just saying earlier on they made like a big deal about, I'm going to wipe off the lipstick in front of my brother, but I'm going to put it on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's probably just like her being. Oh God, look at Chino.
I completely forgot that Chino sucked as a dancer, which is hilarious to me.
Right.
It's a great idea.
I think with the lipstick thing, I think it's more just kind of like her defying her brother.
Okay. I'm sorry, this is an insanely good idea. I just didn't pick up on. Like, yeah, Chino sucks at dancing, which in West Side Story, that's why he can't end up
exactly.
I mean, that does kind of feed into the next bit here, where I think maybe this is it, where I think Tony might be attracted to the fact that she's really taking charge here, and she's really she's really leading the dance with this guy. I think he kind of likes that. Like I think he's kind of seeing in this scene, she's kind of the outsider, and like he's kind of the outsider too. I think that's ultimately what we're saying about this whole scene. They're the only two not dancing in the whole scene.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's kind of building to the attraction. I really love what we do with the music, which is so weird. This is not a John Williams scored film, by the way, because there's a lot of John Williams touches in this with the score.
Well, I mean, it's literally like not a John Williams score. There's no.
I know that, but I'm saying there were some John Williams touches in the score that sound like basically adding kind of like the cinema scope to the thing. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, I'd be willing to guess that John Williams in some way was inspired by the score, on an overall level.
But I'm just saying, I'm trying to get at is like during this scene here, like there's like kind of like almost like the mating dance here. Like Maria is really putting the moves on here. You hear like that dun 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 dun. It's nice.
Right. The lighting in this scene is really fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. I like that's behind the bleachers. It's in private. It's very innocent, but kind of it's kind of seductive without being sexy.
Yeah. Totally.
It's kind of cute, and I like how she's shorter than him. She looks all cute. Look at her.
And this is one of my favorite Ansel Elgort scenes because he's not singing; he's just being charming.
I'm trying to think. In terms of his singing, because I know there's one song that he sings that's completely cuttable later on. You need
Dragon, the moment that stands out to me with the Ansel Elgort singing is during the big Act 1 finale where they're all getting ready for the Rumble, and they're all kind of like singing reprises of the different Act 1 songs, and it's like, and it's cutting between all the various people, so you're getting like a taste of everyone singing. And then it cuts to Tony, and she's like, tonight. And I'm like, oh, Ansel. You're just not up to snuff, pal.
All right.
All right. Anyways,
Where's Tony Goldwyn when you need him? Oh, wait, he's too old for the role at this point. So,
who?
yeah, Tony Goldwyn, the guy who played Tarzan. I think he was a Broadway star.
Oh God.
I was throwing a name out there because I remember. Oh yeah, Tony Goldwyn. Yeah, he was. Has another Tony. Probably has a Tony too. It's that's a triple Tony right there.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Anyway, silliness. Really good lighting. Look at that. I gotta admit that Elgort kid has he's a charmer. When he's not singing, he's quite the charmer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think his best moments are not when he's singing. Just
It probably
generally
helps
speaking.
that in Baby Driver he just he lip syncs the words. He doesn't really say them.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think that they fall in love a little too quickly. I mean, this is a meet cute for sure, but it's not a meet and instantly fall in love. You know what I mean?
Look, I'll tell you, there is like a degree of love at first sight. You kind of have to give it credit for, but by the same token, it's like, okay, they're having the kiss. There's kind of some sparks there. There's kind of like an insatiable kind of like attraction. They're kind of the outsiders. Like, okay, a lot of that's kind of like a fate, destiny sort of thing. But when we get into the point of like, okay, their first date is at a church. That's where I'm kind of like from, really?
Oh, I think the church scene is like easily the weakest scene in the whole film. I agree.
I mean, it's like something you could only get away with in the 50s, but still, it's like, I don't like that's what I'm saying. That's when the 40 hours really hurts them.
Sure.
Like, okay, inciting incident that then kind of leads to the trouble. Like, okay.
Right. And I love how Tony's just like very clueless about just how much he's like crossed the cultural line here. You know what I mean? He's being very genuine.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is perhaps Tony being out of the loop in the year. I believe it was like, what is it, like a year he was in prison?
I'm pretty sure that's mostly it. And Dragon, I'm pretty sure I'm not entirely certain on this, but I'm pretty sure the whole thing about Tony being in prison and being out of the loop was also a Tony Kushner thing.
Okay, well, okay.
Because like you said, I think it adds a little bit more of a little bit of a lack of culpability on his part.
Right. Of course, I love Riff here just having Tony's back where he like catches that fist and he gets all in his face like, hey, let's negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Riff doing the cool guy thing where he's like draping like the jacket over his shoulder like he's a polo model.
Yeah, I love how Riff is basically like on surface level, he's kind of like a classic, like, 1950s greaser. But like I said, there's so much like desperation and pathos under the surface with him.
Yeah. Honestly, I know you don't watch the show. There's a lot of like kind of Joel Maisel in him. Again, it's a period show, so it's very befitting, I suppose, because that's kind of like in the late 50s, bridging into the 60s as well. It's Joel Maisel being the husband character, like the ex-husband character, and Mrs. Maisel, who becomes like you kind of hate him at first, but you grow to love him so much, and he kind of sounds and looks a little bit like him too, which helps. New Yorker and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you think we shot the fluorescent here? I think it looks good.
Well, I mean, I think it all looks good. Again, the color grading, Dragon. That's the one.
I was saying fluorescent's usually kind of like the death area of any movie. It's like, how do you make
totally. And somehow they make it look. I mean, obviously it's harsh. It's the most harsh lighting that we've seen so far, but I think that's appropriate.
Like the worst location you could ever be in is like, okay, we're in a men's bathroom. How do we make that look cinematic? Well, unless you're liar in like an upscale courtroom, that's not going to look good.
Yeah.
I love that like almost every like third to fifth Puerto Rican has a mustache.
God.
Like in a scene, and I love the weapons debate. Like, okay, like bricks, chains, like okay, but knives, like okay, no, knives becomes real. We don't want to do that. And then you have the trust of like, well, I mean, we're greasers, so we have knives, and they're Puerto Ricans. Their whole culture, as far as we're concerned, and our thinking is about knives. Essentially, it's like, hey, do we bring swords to the sword fight?
Right.
But yeah, I like the
And
Romeo and
we'll
Juliet.
of course get into it, Dragon. But I love how the gun is
Yeah.
used. I think the gun is kind of like
Mhm.
Dragon. The gun is the shark in this movie.
Well, no, I think the simplest way to look at it's the ultimate Chekhov's gun.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I'm saying like I'd say we kind of track how Spielberg, he has like the shark in Saving Private Ryan is the tank, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, but yeah, you're right. It is basically the ultimate Chekhov's gun for sure.
I love how come on, what's an actor's name on Bernardo again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me look it up. I don't know it off. David Alvarez.
Yeah, David Alvarez. Yeah, you said earlier, T. David Alvarez. Yeah, so Alvarez.
You know how shitty my memory is.
Point being Alvarez, I love that bit where like this is what I'm talking. These are like the Spiel. This isn't the moment I was talking about. It was like another example like the Spielberg moments where he says like Tony, like your friend Tony. Tony. I just love the way he's going to process that. Like, okay, I'm gonna give my pain a name, and it is Tony.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just great. That's a really good. Like, yeah, that guy was really good in this movie.
Also, I don't think it's a coincidence that leads into the scene where Tony's like, reminiscing about the name Maria. You know what I mean?
This was always my favorite song in West Side Story. By the way, I've always loved it. I have reasons for it. I'm not going to get into here, but I do love the whole like I just met a girl named Maria. It's delightful.
Why did you fall in love with a girl named Maria?
Yeah, that's privileged information. So the point being, it's it's just really it's nice.
Yeah, but
I mean, come on, isn't it?
Spotlights.
What?
Spielberg spotlights.
Yes, yeah.
they're literally like magic spotlights. You know what I mean?
I think he kind of, well, as long as the singing goes, I think he's pretty good in the scene. Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to get all snobby about it. I mean, yes, maybe we could have gotten a better singer there, but I don't know. He's singing. I'm more going in for the song than I am the guy singing the song.
Birds. Sorry.
Up in the bag.
Sorry.
Can you imagine if you just like crossed over into that? Just you have like just feed the birds. You bump into each other musically. Maria. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was.
Oh God.
No. Go on, man. Go on with your song. I'll hold for you. Oh, thank you. Just runs off in the background. You hear tuppence. There's a sad banker for you. It's like George Banks is walking home.
Oh my God. I love this little girl who's like, oh, isn't that romantic?
His love, he's like looking for
the old woman. He's like, go away.
This is really funny. He's like, Maria, how many Marias are on this block?
Right.
Oh, this water shot's really good.
Yeah, I mean, God, just there's so many shots in this movie that look fucking gorgeous, and that's one of them.
Yeah, well, Puerto Rican flags.
So once again, Dragon, I feel like this alleyway fire escape is certainly the one set in the movie that I don't necessarily think it's like a brick by brick recreation or anything, but it very much emulates the look of the original film.
Yeah, no, it does. And again, you have like kind of this money shot here. It's like, well, let me put it this way. All of this I can buy with the foundation of the relationships. In fact, they're basically planning their first date.
And you and I have, I guarantee you, we're going to have the same hangups on the church scene. I mean, the church scene to me is like the one scene in this film where whenever I watch it, I really want to fast forward it.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way: the church scene, it's like it's in a vacuum. It's nice, but if you think about it and you put it in the movie, it's like, yeah, this doesn't work. So again, this just looks like her really popping in the scene with the lighting, and because she's wearing like the white, so it all comes together rather nicely visually here. And again, this is very much like the Romeo and Juliet. I love that it's casual Romeo and Juliet. It's like a business casual version of Romeo and Juliet. We're like, hey, what do you say, huh?
Right.
You like me though? That's not a crime, huh? I'm okay with that. There's milk in the charm.
And I do think that him playing the naivety of Tony is probably the best element of his performance.
Yeah.
That Tony at the end of the day is kind of just like this, this head in the clouds kid that, has had a rough upbringing, wants to get out of that, wants to move on to a better life. That's fine. It's literally just the singing that bothers me.
Yeah. I love well, we're gonna get to it momentarily. I love how. Well, I'm sorry, real quick. I want to talk about the living situation here. I really like how in the background, even we're going to get to it more in the morning after. We'll talk about it really then, but just like in general, I like how she's like kind of with her brother, who essentially is like kind of like common law married to Anita, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, back to this. So again, I love like we're gonna have like the visual separation here, like the great thing, like this isn't legal, like this whole you can't plug up the fire escape. It's like we're sending Puerto Ricans to die. That's not nice. A fire breaks out. It's just like that's bad city maintenance.
Right.
But seriously, it's the fact that again he's been in prison, ergo there's kind of a separation. He's going to do something. He's going to essentially commit a crime later, which is going to kind of separate them on a fundamental level. Later on as well. And just, I don't know, it's like they're him looking up at her. This is like a big trailer shot, which did look rather nice. And just seeing it in full context, I think it really does sing the whole like tomorrow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. These two crazy kids are living for tomorrow, just like the song said. This is really dangerous what he's doing, by the way.
This is where we transition into Tonight, right?
I believe so, yes. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, Tonight is, I'm sorry, I keep calling it Tonight. I believe the correct name is just Tonight, but...
Is it technically tomorrow, or do they call it Tonight?
No, I'm pretty sure,
It'd be really weird if it was called
Tonight.
Okay, I'm going to take your word on
that. But this is my favorite song in the show, actually. I don't know, I really love how romantic it is. It's very sweeping, and it's also got like a really engaging melody to it.
And Ziegler's killing it during this song too, by the way. She's doing a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the thing. I really like how she's just playing just the genuine like elatement of the heart and like the winning smile. Like, man, she's really into this guy, and you buy it. Which again is going to go a long way in helping when you have to buy into like a 48-hour romance. So you got to really hit all your marks at the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the tempo increase in the song is just like it's delicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How it starts out all slow and romantic, and then it just like I feel like the song really does a great job of representing the feelings of falling in love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kind of like the kind of like butterflies in your stomach excitement of it.
Yeah, look like kind of the glances and the glares between their eyes. That's good. Yeah.
Right.
I gotta tell you, we have a hilarious blooper on this scene.
If Tony just fell.
If he had like someone like popped in, hey, keep down the singing, like Spielberg. God. Imagine like Spielberg just kind of popped in, hey, or Kate Capshaw to give her a cameo, like, hey, enough with the singing, and it's like, whoa.
Oh God.
Like right there, like right when he's doing the climb up, you're like, hey, no, get off. He's
That would be a really painful fall.
Yeah, but he's falling with like probably a lot of trash.
But you know what I like about this sequence as far as the staging goes is, we keep singing the praises of how they really blow up a lot of these numbers, but this staging is pretty similar to the original, and the only difference is just kind of like how aerodynamic he is on the balcony, how much he's climbing around on it. So it makes a lot out of a little, you know what I mean? I feel like this might be the closest scene to the original movie, but I still feel like it's elevated.
Yeah.
Not elevated in the singing. Rachel Ziegler, again, I really do feel like the problem with Elgort is, like, I even think his solo songs are fine. I just think it's literally when you hear his voice compared to the other voices, that's where the problem comes in. I don't know.
Spoken like a guy who's seen a lot of musicals.
I have seen a lot of musicals.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's literally that's
yeah, I don't know. That's probably where it comes in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think it's silly where it's like, oh, my dad knew Leonard Bernstein.
Do you think this is on location, or do you think like they're building this set?
It's all on location, Dragon.
Yeah.
It's everything. That's one of the really impressive
do you
parts
think it's
of
the same? Just given how much it's going for that original, do you think it could be the same location, or do you think it's just like there's?
No, I'm pretty sure all the locations in the original movie were sound stages.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, it
But
was nice looking like a natural setting. Then it looks really
but no,
good.
with this, it's like Dragon. It was literally like blocks upon blocks of New York City that they closed off and renovated to have this time period. Look, I mean, the production design in this thing is effing crazy, man.
Can you? I just want to imagine. Like I know it didn't happen this way, but can you imagine if like the comptrollers of New York, whoever's in charge, like the permits and everything, just like, hey guys, Spielberg, he's in town. You know what he's doing? He's doing West Side Story. This is the call we've prepared for. Okay, we know what blocks the cordon off. We're gonna make this happen. Like one of the most big, showcases of New York. We got to give it to Spielberg. We're gonna make it look good.
Right, right.
Okay.
But I believe Dune won production design at the Oscars, and I absolutely like Dune deserved a lot of the technical awards it won. The production design was great. But I mean, this movie I absolutely think this movie has some of the best production design I've seen in any movie in a long time. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. And they're making kissy face.
Yes, Dragon, they're making kissy face. Great observation.
No. I'm joking, but in all seriousness, it's a nice beat to the scene. Builds to the kiss. And it's like, okay, well, the second kiss. Yeah.
This is why the people tune into our commentaries.
Well, I'd like to think so. Well, this is what Spielberg. If Spielberg doesn't like it, he can march his fanny down here and tell us.
Oh God!
He can just say, you know what, guys? Could you spice it up a little? You know what? If you did commentaries, we wouldn't be here in the first place.
Yes, Dragon, because that insane scenario is totally gonna happen.
Well, I think if it gets him here, I'll take it. This I don't buy at all. Like, she's really gonna fall asleep.
Like, not only that Spielberg would be compelled enough to like actually seek us out, but that we'd have the gumption to actually tell him off.
If I can refocus here.
Yes,
I don't buy it. She falls asleep in that dress.
Yeah.
Come on, really? You buy that?
My read on it is that she was awake for most of the night, and then she just kind of passed out in the dress.
To me, this is like a cuttable sequence right here. Like, you really need to see her get in the robe and everything, and it's like,
no, we don't. Not really.
I think what's really important is what happens after she comes out of the room, which is a really great scene with Bernardo and Anita, which I love.
No, I mean, I feel you. This whole bit, it's like it is cuttable. I feel you.
All right, so a couple things to break down the scene that's basically about to kind of lay out here. So I love, again, with the living dynamic, I like the idea. Okay, so Maria's living with her brother, and the idea, I think the implication being after their father died, or parents, or at the very least father, it sounds like, she died, and basically the brother took it upon himself to raise the sister, and basically living, moved her into the apartment. And it's just kind of like this common law marriage situation in which Bernardo very romantically, he wants to have he had I love this dream he had, like a dream that we were back home and we had 6 kids and everything, which is a really sweet scene to me. It's this whole married and had a cat.
I
don't know. It's a really nice sentiment. It really kind of gives you a lot of sympathy for Bernardo when he does die later in the film. Like, this guy really, while he again did do some really stupid stuff ultimately by the end. I mean, stupid for the point of the guy couldn't get past his pride, and that's what got him killed. I like that he was a very human character, and he had really relatable desires. And I think that Maria sees what she wants in Tony in this romantic scene here. Like, she's joking.
Yeah, definitely.
This, so seriously, I love the shrouded kind of like laundry thing. The lighting on this thing looks really beautiful.
Again, take a shot for every time we praise the lighting, production design, and cinematography.
Well, again, it's the best thing the movie has going for it.
But no, I agree. The kissing between the laundry sheets feels like a very Spielbergian touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like a little visual thing to just give the scene a little bit more flavor.
Here's something we should talk about, so we just don't keep saying, "Look at that lighting! Oh, it's beautiful." So we don't keep. What's about to happen when they're doing the apology right now, and when Nea's about to serve the breakfast. So we have this runner that's really established here onward, where were, the Puerto Ricans, they've moved to America, and basically they're into New York, and they're trying to get a firm grasp on the English language, so they don't tensions don't get basically so they can acclimate themselves, and so maybe tensions can break down a little bit. So they're really trying to learn English. So I love that we have this thing throughout the whole movie where we have a natural way, we don't have any subtitles in this film, and we basically have some broken English, but we also have them making the effort to speak English, and in doing so, that's how we get that's why our characters are speaking English versus the usual why would they speak English when they would naturally speak a different language. So it's a good rationale, I thought.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're bringing this up, because I do think the no subtitles thing was a really, really clever thing on Spielberg's part to do, because I really feel like it elevates the material essentially to the idea of even though you don't know word for word what they're saying, you understand the general ideas they are conveying when they're speaking in Spanish because of the emotions. You know what I mean?
You want a really dumb observation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I like that she's wearing yellow and she's serving yellow eggs.
Oh my god.
Okay, I told you, really dumb observation. It's kind of occurring to me right now. Yeah, I remember she was in that.
I feel like the yellow dress for Anita in this movie is kind of like the equivalent to the original movie's purple dress, and I honestly feel like it pops a lot more.
Yeah, a lot of colors look great on this girl. Just the black and the red and the yellow. I mean, she looks.
That's kind of a part of her character, yeah.
It's kind of like the color scheme, like the red nails and the yellow. Again, she's really really works.
But yeah, back to the language barrier.
Yeah, please do.
I feel like the language barrier is a good, I feel like it's a good, it's another kind of spice that this movie has. Essentially, in layman's terms, it's kind of like a we're not so different, you and I. You know what I mean? It's even though we literally don't understand the words, we get the context, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's definitely a really good choice on Spielberg's part, for sure. I think it adds to the immersion of the movie. I think it adds to the themes of the movie.
Look at how much this actor's what Bernardo is conveying with his eyes in these scenes too. By the way, just to really, I love him like the happy homemaker thing that's going on right now between the two of them. Again, you see, this is a couple in love. And again, the fact, so the big thing, what I believe we're about, I think we springboard into this now. I believe this springboards us into the whole in America.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That thing. So I love that they're kind of having a debate here after Maria's kind of stirred up the question of can we all just get along, essentially, in which we have what I like to call the American Tail sequence. Obviously, American Tail's pulling from West Side Story. I know, but I always like to think of it that way. It's just this whole. We do have some really good dialogue in this debate before the song gets going here. I love the whole 6 kids in Puerto Rico. We wouldn't be able to feed them. It's our kids wouldn't get fat like American kids. That's a really good line. Kind of like a gratitude versus just kind of corpulence. Anyway, so again,
I definitely think that I think that in America is probably even though it's funny, Dragon, because even though I think an argument can be made that it might be among definitely probably in the top 3 as far as the most iconic scenes from the original film. But I also think that the way that they elevate this here is easily one of the most elevated numbers between the original and this. And isn't that great how it's because like I said, in the original, it literally is just they're on a rooftop, and the rooftop is very clearly a soundstage, and that's kind of it. There's some good choreography in there, but that's about it. Good choreography, good Rita Moreno performance. This just takes it. It's like a total Spielberg hold my beer moment.
We're really exploring again. It's taking advantage of the fact that we have locations this time instead of a soundstage, so we don't have to be as limited as we were then, which is taking advantage. If we're going to tell the story again, let's tell it with purpose and not just rehash everything. So okay, let's explore the space and let's for example, visually hey, we had that. We have the fire escape setting. What would you do in a fire escape setting if you're in New York and you're kind of a homemaker, at least during your homemaker section before you go out to work with sewing and everything? I forget if she just sews entirely in the apartment or if she goes to a seamstress place or not. But let's just say, she's doing laundry right now. So again, she's going to do it out on the fire escape, which makes sense. And again, she's basically making her point on the go here. And again, it's a fact that they're in the Puerto Rican neighborhood. A lot of this stuff would be going on. So like, yeah, it's all there. Why not explore the space and gives us a good musical reason to like, can I have like an interaction with with Bernardo and just kind of like have the debate in a really entertaining way. Now I'm gonna admit, not my favorite song. It's fine, but I will say it's the biggest ear. Well, here's the thing. No, it's a good song. It's just what's funny though to me is that I think it's the biggest earworm of the thing. I think whether you like it or not,
definitely the biggest earworm. Yeah,
that's the
sure.
thing. Whether you like it or not, it's the biggest earworm. So it's like I'm not saying anything negative about it. It's just like it's not my go-to song, but it does. Every time I think of the movie now, I'm thinking of the song.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is definitely the song that gets stuck in your head for sure.
My favorite thing about her costuming, by the way, is with all of her dresses, she has like kind of the can thing going on. Where she has like the frilly like color underneath when she's like swinging them around.
And just like I think her and Bernardo are just such a perfect match for each other.
Yeah.
Just the performances, just because like they're both so dynamic in their dancing. You know what I think they're both the two most talented dancers in the film.
Oh, which for is sure. Very again, him again. By the way, during this scene, I just kind of noticed this. They really established we kind of reference like kind of name drop the boxing. Oh, he's a boxer, boxing. But I like that we kind of saw a little bit in practice, and we're building to essentially the big boxing scene, which before the knives come out, it's a fight, with fisticuffs between him and Tony. So like we're kind of building that in the background nicely.
God, this whole dancing in the street. It's such like golden age of Hollywood, isn't it?
For sure.
I mean, like you could take a still of this sequence and like, I would not begrudge someone for confusing it with with like a 1950s big lavish musical. I don't know.
I'd say a cross between the 50s or the 70s, or the 70s need to look like the 50s. Something like, because again, the colors like looks a little bright. Let me this way. The saturation makes it look a little less like 50s would be very bright. This feels like kind of like a tempered bright that the 70s might have.
This movie definitely does not have like that crisp ultra HD look that most modern movies have. You know what I mean? It's very much a heightened look to it.
Oh, do you know if this was shot on film or digital?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm guessing digital, but
all right. I'm just wondering.
I don't know off the top of my head, though.
I was wondering, just given the look. I mean, I assume digital myself. I was thinking as you kind of got me thinking about it.
So. I'm pretty sure a lot of the color grading was done in post.
Okay, well there you go. Hey, let me ask you then, why do you think they picked like the Jets and the Sharks as their names?
I genuinely don't know, Dragon. I'm sorry.
Don't you think it's kind of funny that Spielberg of all people is directing like one of the gangs called Sharks?
I do like the irony of that. Yes,
it's kind of cute. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, Bernardo and Anita, it's such a delightful couple. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So this is where we start to break things down. Of course, obviously, Valentina and Tony, great dynamic. It's a really sweet scene. Unfortunately, this is like if we set the story amidst a week, then we should have had this scene. But if we're doing it in 48 hours, like I want to be with you forever. It's like,
yeah, it's like right away. It's like, nah, Tony. How about let's get coffee first.
Now, to be fair, she does absolutely call him out on that. And again, it's like, here's the interesting. Here's why I'm two minds about it, though, because this is a very 50s mentality. Like in the 50s, it was a lot that there was like a leap you can make of what's. There are many love stories in which you get a lot of no in the 50s of like, hey, let's do this. No. And basically wear the girl down. But on the other side of it, though, it's like you have that love at first sight kind of like fantasy that does not happen anymore. But at the time did happen occasionally, at least to a fair number of which it would be kind of parodied in media in the 50s, in which, if you planned, like, it's like one of those stories, like a guy met a girl, one on the first date, and like after the first date, he bought a wedding ring, he kept it in his pocket until the day he proposed. Like that's
right.
So I could kind of buy this, but then again, it's still a leap, especially if we're looking at this in a modern, with kind of like a little modern DNA, which is what Spielberg's going for. So it's kind of kind of combating the integrity of the film, one could say.
But like you said, I really like there's just not a lot that he could have done.
I know it's kind of, again, if Spielberg couldn't crack this, I don't think anyone's going to be able to.
Because it's like one could make the argument that he could have, that Kushner could have written the screenplay to, to make it more like a week than 2 days. But I think the big problem with that you run into is the fact that if you do that, you lose a lot of the urgency of the story.
Exactly. And the biggest problem you would have is, can you buy that they would have a ceasefire that would last a week?
Right.
Or a ceasefire that lasts a day, sure. But like a week, I don't know. And even if it's like 3 days, then it's like, okay, well, then basically then you have a day to factor in there. And then it's like, is that really going to fix things? So yeah, it's a whole... Yeah.
Right. So we now enter what I like to call the field trip portion of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I totally agree with you. Like every time I watch the film, this is where I phase out. This is my bathroom break moment.
Yeah, I mean, like the subway is a good idea to put them on, though. Getting from point A to point B, again, showcasing New York and just giving them some time to chat. And I do like the content of the dialogue here, but I'm not crazy about where it's going to let off. But it's basically just. I mean, maybe you could say it's a bit repetitive because again, we're going to get to this point anyway. But it's just the fact of the whole it does basically we established to Maria, it doesn't bother Tony, the whole Puerto Rican thing.
Yeah, I mean, it essentially just kind of like re-establishes Tony is he was in prison, but he wants to turn his life around, and it's like we literally already got all of that information. And it's like, I don't know, it's literally like the one time in the screenplay where I'm kind of like, all right, Kushner, we could have established this information to Maria in a way that wasn't just literally just regurgitating it. You know what I mean?
I mean, the big point of the subway specifically is okay, like Tony's right in that Tony says well, we're not doing anything wrong, just liking each other. I mean, you don't feel that way, I don't feel that way, so why worry about it? And that's the problem. It's like the scene kind of ends there, and we don't need to go on the rest of the field trip. So that's kind of the issue.
Right.
We say everything we need to getting from point A to point B, and what they're trying to do is okay, at the end of the church scene.
You know what I honestly think the field trip is? I think the field trip is just kind of like Spielberg's excuse, let's get out of the big city for a minute.
Yeah, essentially. It's like,
change the scenery.
No, I agree. It's basically, also, I think more so, it's like we need to take them out of the equation so we can spend more time with the Jets and the Sharks.
That's true.
That's the main thing we're doing. But ultimately, the real thing he's trying to get to is at the end of the church, it's like, hey, I don't want you to fight. That's really all you need to do there, but I don't know.
I mean, I feel like you could have had the exact same conversation at a park or something. You know what I mean?
True. Which again, you get Central Park. That'd been another location you could have gone to.
Right.
Who doesn't like Central Park?
Although I'm not quite sure how far Central Park away is from this particular location.
That is a good point. I can't remember where which borough of New York the Lincoln Center's in.
I'm gonna Google it.
I forget if it's. I don't think it's Manhattan, but I don't know. I mean, could it
Hold
be?
on, I'm Googling it.
Okay, regardless, right now we're in the police station. But good design on the police station. This is usually how that look is. It's we've seen a number of police stations and other things, and this is very kind of circa the 50s. It's kind of like it's kind of like look at the police station in Gotham. It's kind of like the wooden, kind of like more rustic version of that. So yes, this is like the big. This is the big scene we have. The kind
of wow, it's right there.
What?
It's literally 3 minutes away. It's a 5-minute walk.
Tiki, did it mention which borough it's in? Did it say is it in Manhattan? Is it in
I can't find that off the top of my head, but literally I Google Central Park to Lincoln Center and it's a 5-minute walk.
Okay, so we had
they very easily could have gone to Central Park for their date, right?
Yep. I'm sure Spielberg's thinking we've seen Central Park everywhere. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, it already passed, but anybody had the big moment in which anybody was we have again the tomboy kind of with kind of the trans kind of figuring in there, but in a really natural, which I was really impressed by. Okay, we basically found a way to kind of acknowledge that and also give her a really great moment in the sun where where anybody is beating the crap out of the Jets and the cops and everybody. And all anybody wants is to be a Jet. That's kind of cool. Unfortunately, the scene after that, here's the thing. So as much as Larry David loves Officer Krupke, the whole Officer Krupke Krupp You song, it's
You don't like that song, really?
no. Look, I don't. It's not that I dislike the song, but here's the thing, though. We don't really need it at all.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you.
That's my problem with West Side Story with a lot of the music is that it's good and I enjoy it, but we don't really need it when we cut to the core of the story.
I think the reason why it was kept in was a tone thing. I think it is kind of like the big comic relief song of the show. You know what I mean?
I agree. Now we're gonna have there is honestly one of the other best songs of the film, which I think works better in a vacuum than it does in the story of the film, which we'll get to later on. Is I think the biggest tone shift problem the movie's going to have.
Okay,
we'll get to. So that's what I'm saying. Like some of the songs going to have like this is a really wonderful. This to me is probably the campy. This I'm sorry, no. Later on is going to be the campiest song in the movie. We'll get there. Sorry, I'm run through the songs in my head here, but yeah, right now we're the Officer Krupke song is, it's purely just fun. It's just not really adding much to the story because we already know how the Jets operate. And like we already I think Corey Stoll said everything we needed to say.
You know what? I honestly think the problem is, because I just mentioned the tone thing where it's like a breather, but like I think the problem is that like we haven't like things haven't really escalated to a point where we need a breather yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's probably the problem, and I do think that this movie does have a little like. And Dragon, honestly, I feel like my criticism of like, oh, there's a little bit of a pacing issue. They could have trimmed out 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Dragon, I'm getting really tired of saying that. And I honestly feel like it's a really repetitive criticism on my part that I'm getting self-aware of. But I don't know. Like with this film, I do think that, I feel like it would have served them better to move this scene up a little bit more in the plot. Just so we do get the tension break. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, I do. I just ultimately...
Because as it stands now, I feel like the tone of this film is still light enough that this feels a little bit superfluous, even though it is fun.
Yeah. And again, I think the time crunch factor does kind of impact some of that too, just with the fact of like, okay, so that we want to spend time with them. We also have to. It's like we want to spend time with our couple. By the same token, though, we do need to kill time until the big fight. We got to make the most out of our 48 hours. Which includes like, okay, what are the Jets doing before the fight? Okay, well, they're being hauled in by the police. Why? Because it would happen. But again, are the important Jets there? Well, no, not really. Just Baby John. He's fun. It's like just like the name brand like Jets. Oh, by the way, I like that. Here's kind of a creepy detail on the rewatch is that the girl I completely forgot she locked herself in the cage for her own protection from the boys.
Right.
But you think the cops are completely gone. She can just literally walk out of there. But you like the ones like wearing Krupke's hat and at the end of the song it gives it back to him. I was like more so Larry David loves this song.
Does he really?
Oh, remember it's. Oh yeah, I guess you didn't. Well, I don't know. I thought you. Yeah, there's like in season 6 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, I believe it's 6. When Larry David adopts the Black family, the kids who are in school, they put on production of West Side Story, so he's like humming Officer Krupke, and he gets in trouble. He goes by a cop, I think, and a cop thinks he's saying, "Gee, Officer Krupke, F you," instead of Krupp you. So it lands him in trouble. Really
That's
funny.
Great. That's great.
Of course, Larry David's had a lot of musical interactions, but I'm drifting off focus.
Uh-huh.
Of course, between that and the producers, which obviously, did you see that producers season?
No, I don't think I did.
Gotta watch more Curb, my friend.
Well, right now I'm knee deep into Succession, but
yeah. All right. Look at that.
Yeah, this is kind of. I will admit, the scene is kind of going on.
That's what I mean, Tiki. Just kind of go.
It's just watching it like. And honestly, like, because right now I'm just watching it with the visuals and subtitles, so not getting the song. I'm like, yeah, this is
this bit right here at the end. That's all I really care about in this scene. I just want to see the Krupke coming all disheveled, looking at the police.
Right.
And they give him back his hat. I just want to see him give back the hat.
Tell me, he's got a total Eugene Levy look in this moment, I think.
Yeah, like a young Eugene Levy, sure. Yeah. Took off, yeah. This is for you. Leaves. Do you remember if Krupke was fatter in the original?
Oh God, not off the top of my head.
Krupp, I think this is me probably thinking the whole like Principal Krupp from from Captain Underpants. Forgive me, but I'm just thinking like every time I hear Krupke, every time I hear that song or Larry David talking about that song, I'm thinking, man, Krupke must have been a fat guy.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Might not have been entirely. It's just my own biases. I'm just gonna put it on there because Krupke just kind of sounds like a fat guy name. I don't know.
Oh my God, there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode that's literally called Officer Krupke.
Yeah, that's the episode. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh man, okay. I need to. If anything else, I'll just watch that particular episode.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, yeah, sure. That's a really fun
I am Googling what he looks like in 1961.
Please do. Yeah, solve the fat guy dilemma.
The dilemma of our time, Dragon.
Yeah.
No, he just looks like an average dude.
Okay, yes, I guess assume Krupke. Okay, there you go. So here we go. This is kind of like our weird church kind of date.
I mean, I was Googling the Krupke thing just so we wouldn't have to talk about this. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Well, regardless, so this is when he's expositing the whole like he almost killed a Puerto Rican kid in a rumble, and that basically.
It's like we literally know, Tony. We know.
Now the only important thing,
Tony in regards to both this Tony and Tony Kushner.
only Tony Daniels just gonna wander in the scene like George sent me here to say hi, guys. I like theater.
Oh God.
Anyway,
and then the Family Guy gag: Tony Robbins hungry.
Okay, that's now we're just going too far. Like Tony Daniels, I could actually buy this kind of. Anyway, so
Tony Robbins just proceeds to eat Ansel Elgort.
Anyway. So,
all right.
I mean, honestly, the only detail, but now to be fair, they were playing it coy about what exactly landed him in prison. So, I mean, that's the only expositing that so she knows and she accepts him for. I mean, I guess I get, and the whole. Now, to be fair, him having the crib notes was a really cute idea. Just the fact that he wrote out like what he wanted to say, and so he can say it in Puerto Rican like that. That's cute.
I mean, I think the one thing I will give the location of the church is that it is kind of like a meeting point where he's seeing a little bit of her culture. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, the other thing too is that the idea it's like the life they're not going to be able to live. So
right, that too, yeah.
Which again is like the weird dichotomy of like it's life and fast forward, which is a '50s kind of idea, but still, it's still really fast. It's like essentially they're.
I mean, you know what? I at the end of the day, I do kind of give a pass to that whole thing, just because like it is based on the Romeo and Juliet thing. Although I actually think Romeo and Juliet it wasn't that fast of a time frame. I could be wrong about that.
I mean, I don't know. Romeo and Juliet feels like it was a week versus like 3 days, so like 2 days.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, the general archetype, you know, the star-crossed lovers archetype, which isn't necessarily just Romeo and Juliet. Like, there is an element of kind of, like, epic tragedy to the whole, like, you know, this is, like, the beginning of a beautiful relationship, to paraphrase Casablanca. But it's a relationship that's not meant to be. I just think the problem is that they do go hard. It's like, literally, this is their first date, and they're already getting fake married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't necessarily remember if this whole bit was in the original or not. If it was, I want to say it wasn't as drawn out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, again, they're just, like, I feel like there's way too much of, like, okay, like, this is it. Like, this is our destiny, you know? It's, I don't know. I hear you. This song, to me, is easily the most cuttable song in the film, for sure, by a long shot.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. I mean,
because it's literally just a less catchy version of Tonight.
I mean, ultimately, this movie is, you know, Spielberg, again, not known for making the short film, let's be honest. Well, with one exception, which we'll get to. But no, in all seriousness, though, it's... well, I guess technically 2 exceptions, but now I've ruined my own analogy. We're just going to press on. The fact is...
I'm sure he's made a couple films that are, like, less than 2 hours long.
Sure.
I'd be interested to do the actual math on how many, but I'm sure there's a good select few.
I know he's done at least 3. I know that much. But my point being, of the movies like without the credits, which nowadays are ridiculously long, just the credits scene, we're looking at 2.5 hours. Movie could have been easily a 2 hour, 20-minute affair.
I mean, yeah. It doesn't really bother me that it's 2.5
Oh
hours,
no, I'm just saying.
just because like most Broadway adaptations are about that runtime. But
Yeah. And this is the thing too. Tony's just kind of setting himself up for failure here. Like, yeah, I can reach him. Like, guys, if we haven't reached him in the other scenes, like, I don't think we're gonna
right,
have much luck here, guys. Maybe we should just kind of learn. Maybe it's just like do like let's elope now and not worry about it. Let's just do that. Let's not do the Romeo and Juliet thing. Where like, and we'll do this. Well, first I gotta do this, and then we'll go to the airport.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like no, let's just go to the airport, man. Valentina's cool. She'll lend us the money. Let's go.
I mean, you guys are clearly rushing this anyway, so
yeah, we'll just go to Vegas and rip off the Band-Aid.
God.
Yeah, my brother will kill it, but he'll never be able to find us.
Was Vegas even a thing in this time period?
Oh, yeah, Vegas was very hopping in the 50s. I assume the marriage thing was probably going on in the 50s.
All
I know
right.
it's more of like a later decade thing, but I know
I feel like the 50s was more of like kind of like when it was like a gangster.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That was Vegas was doing that in the 50s. It was very much like the mob hop spot. But I imagine you might have. I imagine the drunken marriage thing probably would have happened in a Vegas wedding. I mean, when we saw like.
You definitely had Google when that one chapel opened.
Well, I know it was going on in the 90s because we saw Yabba Dabba Doo. I'm just trying to think of like probably I assumedly the 80s. I know it was fine. Whatever you want to do. Okay, this is a big scene. So first off, we should highlight. Here's a great modern, like kind of like a way we wish the world was. Guns very hard to get a hold of. Like
right.
I love that. I love the drama that's placed around the Chekhov's gun of it here. Like, yeah, especially for our street toughs here, guns very hard to come by, very expensive, as they probably should be. And just the fact.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on this point, but the amount of the fact that it's such a problem in our country right now, Dragon, is frankly existentially terrifying.
Well, I'm just saying, without getting into the nitty gritty of that, just in a broad sense, it's the fact that in general, like the handgun being harder to get a hold of makes it more dramatic. The fact that, okay, so there's this one gun that will be a really big fixture of the plot, and we gave it a good introduction here.
That
and also,
one gun also leads to my favorite sequence in the movie that we'll get to.
Oh man, I hope we don't have a disagreement.
Ooh, we might.
Okay, regardless. So
Play it cool, boys.
What?
Play it cool, boys.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh no! All right, well, we'll get there. Okay,
real quick.
Oh,
Spielberg daddy issues right now. Spielberg daddy issues.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to highlight the bingo card. I don't want to miss the bingo card.
No,
there's a good moment for Riff though, just to show. Yeah, he's not messing around. It is that bit of that.
I love how he literally has a tattoo that just says "happy."
Really?
Yeah. Look on his shoulder.
All right, let's. Janusz, she's not my friend right now. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, so again, this is kind of like it's like just the 50s thinking here. Like, yeah, let's play around with the gun. Yeah, it's just yeah. Let's play around with the instrument of death.
So I think that I really like "Play It Cool, Boys." Here's the thing, Dragon. I don't necessarily I think it's one of the weaker songs from like just a melody perspective. I don't necessarily think it's that catchy or that engaging as a song, but as a sequence, I really love it because I love how much it plays around with the gun and the choreography and how they're and how the whole song kind of revolves around Tony and Riff trying to, basically competing for the gun.
I mean, look, I'll meet you halfway, and I do respect again, kind of like the communication between the friends on this matter, and we do need Tony to know about the gun, so it will pay off later. I get that, but here's the problem for me is, I mean, it's the song, but more so, I think everything else has gone to such great lengths to kind of balance out the camp and actually legitimize it. This to me, however. The choreography and the whole thing, it's probably the campiest we get.
I don't know, man. You think this is more campy than Dear Officer Krupke?
Okay, fine. That's what I'm saying. It's the Krupke thing is like that's why I was given hesitation. Was talking about the Krupke because that too was really campy. But I'm saying this is like action campy. Where this is like, it's sort of like we're dancing around the gun.
Okay, well, let's rewatch it because honestly, like first of all, I really do love the crumbly pier set.
No, that's a great set for sure. Yeah, but that's what makes me kind of like. It's like, okay, yeah, we have a really good set here, but then we're just kind of playing around on it though. It's like during this kind of dramatic conversation between friends.
A little bit,
like
yes,
right here.
Yes, I don't know. The way I take it is that they're still trying to maintain their friendly disposition, but this is the moment where the tensions between Riff and Tony really kind of start to come to a head, even though they're still kind of like being a little bit playful about it. Does that make sense?
I mean, no, I get you there with the whole like the tone of like the whole like they're still being friendly towards each other, but I don't know.
I don't know. I really do like the. Like I honestly think this is just going to have to be like an agree to disagree.
I mean, you're right. But I'm just look at these moves like, hey, we're swinging around the place. I'm just saying the moves were the choreography is a little broad compared to everything else, just being more like organized and everything. This I don't know. Feels like we're dance fighting, but playfully.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do we need this many spins?
Okay, honestly, when I'm watching it, like again. Without the music, I kind of see what you're saying as far as the choreography goes.
I mean, I'll concede it's probably the campiest part of the movie because again, it's most unnecessary too. But this still is like I don't know. Maybe could have used a retouch. Like,
well, again, I think the thing I really do love about this scene though is the Chekhov's gun of it all. Yeah. Like to me, Dragon, this is like kind of like the ultimate Chekhov's gun setup.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I don't know. Part of me.
Visually, I do like how that how the dust gets kicked around. That's probably my favorite part of the scene. Visually.
I'll give you that, but I mean, like bits of this scene, I think are kind of wish there was like a little bit more of this in the scene. Like for a moment, there, they were holding the gun like really close to the camera. That's what I'm saying. Like the dramatic, like right now, like we're getting in really close and stuff, and like that. Like
that's probably like one of my favorite shots in the whole film, right
like,
there.
This is the tension I'm talking about, but everything up to that really is kind of getting campy for me.
No, I hear you. Okay, I'll meet you halfway here where it's like, I feel like if more of the scene were kind of that kind of staging, I think it would have played a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I still really like it, man. I still really like the idea that this scene conveys with the, the tension over the gun and how this is essentially kind of like the big breaking point in Riff and Tony's dynamic with each other.
Sure.
Like, I mean, again, I know you already addressed it, but I think at the very least, I think it's a lot more plot relevant than Crosby is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Krupke, not Crosby. It's not like a donut.
I'm sorry.
As much as my initial perception was he was a donut guy, but However, you probably shouldn't drink milk for that ulcer. I forget if the milk actually helps the ulcer or not, but
milk is good for growing children, but that's about it, honestly. Right.
Okay, now we're back to campy. Look at
this. Yeah. He's literally just like, "Hey, Tony, check out my sweet dance moves."
Yeah, it's like Billy. Billy Elliot, just take a fiver, would you?
Right.
Look at this guy. Come on,
I do really like how it ends with the pows, though. I really think that's a really cool, and look at Feist's face. Look at Feist's face right there.
Yeah,
right there.
Great.
That is acting, man. That is fucking acting.
It is. It's good.
I tell you what, I think Mike Feist was robbed of a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I really do. And as much as I love my boy Jesse Plemons did not deserve an Oscar nomination for Power of the Dog. He really didn't.
Plemons was just kind of the usual kind of fare of like, hey, I'm Jesse Plemons, just kind of like doing my thing.
Right. He didn't really elevate himself at all. He's just like, hey, I'm also in this film. I'm doing a decent enough job.
Just saying, hey, brother, what you doing?
Right.
He's like, hey, here's my real life wife who's in the movie with me. It's an oversimplification, mind you, but then again, I'm
but you know what I mean? It's like Mike Feist he owns every fucking scene that he's in.
Well, now that I've seen the movie, I can buy into what you're saying a little bit more, but yeah. Yeah. Of course, here we're arming our guys here with the weapons and the chains.
Okay. My big moment with Ansel Elgort is coming up with the tonight thing.
Yeah. Now, to be fair though, in concept, it's a really neat idea that we're kind of reprising everything as we're building.
Well, no, this is a very classic musical theater thing. Dragon. The end of Act 1 of a lot of musical theater shows are kind of like the kind of like let's get all the characters together. Let's do some reprises of the songs. You know what I mean? Like, so this is a very classic like Act One finale type thing. This is Go ahead.
The advantage you have in the movie versus the musical, that sort of thing, is what we're seeing right now, is that you can edit between them really nicely.
Absolutely. Where on stage, it's mostly just like kind of like groups of performers on different sections of the stage.
Like,
you know
the
what
best
I mean?
you could hope for is like the lights come on in darkness of like, and now he's singing, and there he is. And we're all like walking.
Here we go, right there. Tonight, there will be no morning star. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm over exaggerating it. I know he doesn't sound that bad, but like, I'm just saying, like, when literally the entire rest of the cast is like just singing their heart out, and then it's just like tonight. I don't know. It stands out.
Yeah.
Again, like the golden hour lighting here is spectacular, though.
Yeah. Oh, if only they were walking to each other instead of just a little small detail. Nice 50s looking cop cars.
Indeed.
And this look at this nighttime lighting, man. This looks great here. As again, we're hitting. Ultimately, of course, the set piece, which again the trailer did not do it any justice, but ultimately what we do so much better here in the movie is that the setting of the big brawl, of the big rumble in question, the whole like salt mine sort of like, I forget, it's like a salt warehouse. Yeah, like the whole the North Pole. They nicknamed it the North Pole. Yeah, they really like. We're going like that North Pole. Like, it's like a salt plant or something. These big mountains of salt, which is great because it's kind of like a middle ground of again, kind of like it's kind of like an old West. It's like it's like an urban version of the Old West of like here. We're in kind of like
a corral.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a very kind of like, again, it feels very much like, hey, we're having kind of like a showdown in kind of like a Western modern setting.
Sure.
Of like you have our posse and your posse, like.
And I feel like that's absolutely original to the film. I want to say that was another Tony Kushner pull. I could be wrong.
I like the how we're going between like the rail yards of her on the subway. That's really good.
I
gotta admit that now I think about it, though, I think maybe Ania's just kind of randomly singing what everyone else is kind of singing while they're doing something.
yes.
It just kind of occurred to me in the moment of like, yeah, I mean, it's nice that she's singing, but do we really?
Anita's gonna get her kicks tonight.
A little much. Oh, look at that shadow work! Look at it. The fingers are closing.
This is a trailer shot, and it's probably the best shot from the trailer.
That's what I'm saying. However, again, I don't think the trailer did it justice like it does when it's finally in print.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you and I, like I said, we had kind of the same reaction to the trailer, where it's like, okay, this just kind of feels like they're just trying to redo the shots from the old movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, the salt thing, again, the North Pole, I don't know. It's a really, really clever location.
Okay, I just caught in the subtitles. Yeah, so the idea is where they keep all the salt for the winter in this place. Mm-hmm. That's a clever idea. That's nice.
Yeah, totally.
So it is like a warehouse for so okay, so coming up is I like how she sneaks in, by the way. So my favorite bit. Or they sneak in pronouns. Regardless, I love this. Is my favorite Spielberg bit in the movie. It's like such a classic Spielberg moment here.
Okay,
I love the mundanity between Tony and Chico.
Yeah,
Chino,
totally.
sorry, Chino.
Absolutely.
Between Tony
Absolutely.
and Chino.
Yeah.
How Chino helps him lift the thing, and this is like such a Spielberg.
That one act is going to get them both killed.
I just love it so much that they're both kind of fighting over the same girl, and they kind of know it. And right. Like,
totally,
hey, let me help you this so we can do our thing. We kind of face our destinies here without realizing what that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you highlighted that. That stuck out for me too.
So honestly, my favorite moment in the entire film, if I'm being frank, I really love it. It's like just that little bit, and it's the mundanity in that, and just, again, it feels classic Spielberg, just perfect. And the fact that he's not supposed to be there, and then Tony's like he's the whole reason the mess is going on. And I love that Bernardo's like, hey, you shouldn't be here. And ultimately, it's the irony that Bernardo is the one who's in real danger versus his friend, which is really tragic.
Right.
Yeah. Look at just like our guys like kind of locking eyes here, and like Bernardo's not happy.
And this is a hell of an Act One finale, Dragon, as far as like Because the death of both Bernardo and
I don't think you can call this an Act 1 finale though. He's far too. He's more like Act 2. Like
no. I'm saying as far as the stage play goes, Dragon. This scene is literally the finale of Act 1.
Oh.
Like the two big deaths are where Act 1 cuts off.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, this show has a very short Act 2.
Huh. All right. So,
but I mean, it is a very it's a pretty damn dramatic. It's just like, oh my god, like all hope is lost. You know what I mean?
So, from a story standpoint, this is my favorite stuff in the movie. By the way, I love Tony. This is the kind of writing I love on a straight arrow character. I love how Tony walks in here and he tries to diffuse the situation. He basically does what he promised Maria he'd try to do. Where it's like, okay, look, I'm just going to be very forthright with him. I'm going to try and kind of basically wine and dine your brother here by just being very straight with him. It's like, hey, look, I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. I personally don't have anything against Puerto Ricans, and the brother kind of sniffs this out of he was in prison, so he probably there's kind of a weird kind of overlap between the communities because of that. Mm-hmm. But he's still not moved at all here. And I love how patient Tony is, and ultimately the ultimate power move that he does here, which really fascinates me, is he takes the hits, he takes the licks, and he lets him get his aggression out until he really kind of insults him being with his sister, and that's when he kind of had, and then he basically dishes out what he's been holding back the whole time, and he has him where he wants him, and he walks away from, which is the ultimate insult. I beat the boxer, and I'm not going to let him get his win, and I'm just going to walk away from him. That's great. Mm-hmm. I love all that. So the staging of this whole thing, the whole rumble itself,
you can kind of see the tensions just in the body language of everyone just getting more and more sort of escalated as it goes on.
Yeah. So again, Tony's just pleading his case here, and the fact when Bernard's he's all boxing kind of huff, he's waiting for him to flinch so he can punch him. He's just not flinching. Yeah, Bernardo's not giving him an inch here, unfortunately. And again, it's also kind of good to show prejudice, goes on both sides as well. Yeah, so again, just it's very much the boxer's kind of going around, really kind of primping in front of him. He's kind of laying out the whole I'm you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is where Tony's just really you'll never have my sister, and that's just this fact. There's nothing wrong with me. I accept her. Why can't you accept me, buddy?
Yeah.
So again, he's just saying I love her, and that's what he took the licks, and now he's just kind of had it. And I love that I love how we push the gang away. No, okay, that's I've taken enough of this guy's crap. Okay, it's 1-on-1 right now. So we're finally gonna dish it out, get the aggression out.
And this really is the first 1-on-1 fight in the whole movie. And I really think it's a great kind of escalation for sure.
I mean, what's really great about this is that this is the only scene that these two share together without any other, I'm saying, I know they had the very brief encounter at the dance. This is the first real conversation that they
No,
had.
You're right. It is kind of one of those one scene wonders between the two characters,
Which is built up to a very big dramatic point, very, very fittingly.
Uh-huh.
And again, now this is a big moment for Tony here, where again he's realizing his history repeating itself. He could nearly kill this Puerto Rican kid, but he just doesn't want to do that. He's proving that I have changed, and also again, just kind of, I think on some level, it's kind of humiliation of no, I'm not going to give you what you want.
Right.
And I love how caught off guard Bernardo is, because this is a guy who's actually for all we know, I'm assuming Bernardo has not actually been in prison. It's a guess, though. I don't know. And I like to think that's what's giving Tony the advantage. He's probably been in a few fights inside.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably that
Bernardo obviously is a boxer, but not necessarily a brawler.
That's the thing. So I think that's the advantage that Bernardo did not see coming, which is why he's kind of lost that fight there. And then we have then the one thing that Bernardo does have, that while not a brawler, perhaps you do get in some knife fights. I'm assuming in Puerto Rico. At least that's the impression the movie's kind of giving when they kind of refer to back home and everything. So.
Okay, honestly, even watching it right now without even hearing the audio, I'm still just I'm not ready for Riff to die.
I mean, my favorite thing about
sucks, Dragon. It sucks.
My favorite thing about the knife fight is, again, it's so much like the sword fighting in Romeo and Juliet, but in
absolutely.
like in an updated way that's really fitting. It's such a really good, like if you're gonna update that story thematically, that's how you do it. And this is just tragic on the rewatch of the fact that Tony accidentally leads to Riff's death. Is the fact that he kind of held him back for that bit, which really
Oh
cost him.
God, that's fucking brutal, man.
Bernardo's reaction.
I love Bernardo's reaction.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and I love that it's
he's
like
horrified. He's genuinely horrified.
The fact that none of them, I don't think any of them expected to kill. You just expected to beat the living crap out of each other. They did not expect bloodshed.
Oh God, and Christ! Oh my God, it breaks my heart.
And with the Take It Out
how was this kid not nominated for an Oscar?
With the Take It Out line, tell me if you read this line the way I did here. Okay, so on the rewatch, when he says "Take it out," I think that's whole like "Avenge me if we were brothers, kill this man for me." That's how I read, and that's like even though if Tony doesn't want to do it, I think deep down in the moment, in the heat of passion, he feels like this guy just killed my best friend, my unofficial brother, as it were.
Yeah.
I want to stab him. He's been really pushing me. I didn't want to kill him, but it's like he's literally dying wishes for me to avenge him, so I'm going to kill this guy without hesitation.
Look at those cop lights, man.
Yeah, amidst the white too, which so ultimately again our two leaders are dead here, so essentially that ends the war for the most part. I mean, obviously once Tony goes as well, the presumption I had, by the way, is when Tony dies, that's the end of the conflict. Is that what you got, or do you think it's
yes, that's absolutely the point of the ending. Is I feel like everyone, oh God, I love Chino.
I know, oh God, Chino. Oh, and again, one of the best dramatic ways you could end this scene is just like Chino grabbing that gun, like
the death glare,
No, I mean when he grabs the gun though, it's just like no,
you're right, but the whole beat is great, just because the death glare is honestly like the first time that we see him really angry in the film. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, he's been a little cheesed up and never angry.
This is maybe the best technical shot in the whole film.
The flashlight sequence looks flashlight looks really good.
Like I'm just saying, the red lights, the shadow work.
Hey, I just want to shout this out because I believe we're in the place too. Is this the shadow? Gimbals, which is no longer around in New York. One of the best essentially one of the best, if not the best, department store in New York. A lot of people are going to say, is it Bergdorf's or Bergdorf's? But anyway, that place, regardless. Gimbals, though, that's the place in Elf, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. It's like that thing. So Gimbals, man, his big piece of New York history, and the fact that we're in that department store here. Okay, so anyway, here's my rant. Here's my thing. So, as much as I adore the song, I Feel Pretty, which is great. I've loved it how it's been used in other things. I mean, one of the great gags in the Adam Sandler movie with Jack Nicholson,
Anger Management.
Anger Management, of course, the whole runner of one of my favorite. I think that was my introduction to the song. I think
it was too for me. Yeah.
So I love the song. I love the news and just seeing the full song play out and everything. Look, I Feel Pretty is an amazing song, and I love it. And I do like how it's directed here in the sequence. A problem, however, this is a hugely wrong tone shift to make.
Okay.
After that
sequence.
Dragon,
this is a problem that literally stems back to the original Broadway production.
And it's just it's the
this is the
thing,
opening of Act 2 after Act 1 ends with Riff and Bernardo's death. So yeah, I fully it's I honestly think that this is an adaptation change Spielberg should have made, was to have this be like maybe the song before the big kind of build up to the brawl.
We should have had this instead of the Krupke thing, but you can't get rid of Krupke because people would have rioted in the streets, like the West Side fans. Like, how dare you get rid of the Krupke song?
I actually don't think they cut any songs, to tell you the truth.
I know, that's the thing, and that kind of leads us to the problem,
which is very rare with a Broadway adaptation.
Yeah, so let me say this.
Kind of like the opposite problem that the In the Heights movie had. The In the Heights cut out too many songs and the wrong songs.
I have a theory as to why structurally this doesn't work. Like, in adapting it the way they did here.
I think honestly, as a play, it works better with the 15-minute intermission. You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe, but for me, looking at it right now in the story, I think the difference is this. And I could be wrong. I think it is that the way the movie is structured is that basically, again, like, it's not like the death of the gang members is not Act 1 in this the way we tell this story. This is the end of Act 2.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, you have to remember that Act 1, Act 2 in a play are different. It's a completely different structure than the 3-act structure.
Well, yes, Tico. That's what I'm saying. Between the translation of film and the translation of the play, so it's a really weird shift in that regard. And that it just plays really differently when you're looking at it as a film. It's like, okay, that's our big dramatic moment. We're reaching the end, and reaching the end. It's like, hey, it's like the Bambi thing of like we killed the mother in front. La, la, la,
oh my God, it's literally that.
Oh, so pretty. It's like literally the best equivalent you could ever have. Like what
I want to dub this scene over with that springtime song.
That's what I'm saying. Is you put like I feel pretty when we're seeing like the nice flowery kind of like wilderness of Bambi.
It is a very tra-la-la song.
It is. So that's the thing. So the fact is that when you look at this in under like a 3-act lens, it is a problem. But again, in a 2-act lens, especially if you have an intermission, I could see it playing better. And that okay, like we're readjusting.
Especially because I feel like within the context of the play, it's like, okay, we just saw the terrible shit go down from Tony's perspective. Meanwhile, Maria's still in La La Land.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the play thing of like, okay, we're playing with the character again. What we're doing in both versions here, only again, it plays a lot better in a play than it would here, where it's like we're setting a character up for a fall, and that okay, we're checking in with her, and then like we're going to drop the bottom out from her. Which again,
okay, hold on. I love this mirror. The mirror work here is great.
Yeah,
I mean, I like you mentioned the department store. Like generally speaking, like I totally agree with you on. Like I think this really should have been moved to before the build up to the brawl. Like that would have been the perfect place for this.
I agree, absolutely, yes.
But the sequence itself is great. I mean, I think like once again, I feel like it's elevated because like I believe in the original, it's just Maria singing to herself in the mirror.
Okay, this is where I'm just going to be glowing about the visuals, so forgive me.
Oh God,
I love this kind of loading dock area, like the storage area, like on the outside, it's coming down, raining, and you have like I don't know, it's kind of really nicely separated, where you have like kind of like this the ugly part of Gimbals and the ugly reality of outside, like the heavens are crying all this death. Let's go. We killed Bernardo, USOB.
Like the mannequins, Dragon, the mannequins in the dumpster.
Yeah. And the fact that, again, you can see how hurt Chino is by... Chino's so hurt by the fact that her first question is like, how is Tony?
Yes, totally. Which I think is a very, very understandable reaction.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Yep. Oh, again, the performance, seriously, this kid playing Chino, really good. Looks a little like Troy Gentile to me, but he's the actor. Barry from the Goldbergs. Looks a little like Barry from the Goldbergs.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Kind of like an older...
like if Barry had an older brother, it'd be this guy.
Ooh, that reminds me that the Barry season finale is tonight. Not today's podcast.
For sure. You know what I'm saying? I love this whole bit where like he runs out into the rain and everything. You have like the guards like, hey, what's going on down here? Okay, so I'm going to have some I might have an unpopular opinion.
Oh, no.
Now, look, it's not a thing that's like against the movie or anything.
Are you going to shit talk Ariana DeBoe's performance?
No, heavens no.
Okay, good, because my God, she's super powerful here.
No, yeah, she's fine. I'm just saying, though, this is the thing. It's not like a critique against the movie or a critique against her. It's just it's kind of it's like talking about the character itself.
Okay.
Like within the story. I'm just saying, like I think she did. I might have a completely different read on this. I don't know. We'll get to it more so when we do like the store, but when we get to the drugstore. But I think she basically planned Tony's murder, and I think it's despicable.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting read.
Yeah, I really think she did, and I was looking at it, kind of makes me man. I don't want what I don't want what was like implied to be about to happen to her in that drugstore to happen. I think some bad should have happened to her. But again, obviously not really a story they're telling. That's like a missed opportunity. It just feels like, man, she did. I view it like she did something really scummy, and she should have been punished for it. Like she didn't deserve to get off scot-free like she did.
No, I hear you. That's an interesting read, and not many people.
We'll get
like honestly, Dragon, just because of the legacy factor of Rita Moreno, I feel like not many people sort of like pick apart that particular character. Like I said, that character is kind of like a legacy character.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
is an interesting read. I like that read.
now here's something we should talk about. I think this is the biggest challenge of the film that I still think it's like one of those things you just can't quite fix with this story.
Like
Is,
she would not so easily forgive him.
well, let alone that. I mean, she sleeps with the guy for the first time after
Yes,
he
yes, yes.
he killed her brother. And
Because you know, Dragon, murdering your brother is just a great way to put you in the mood, right?
Yeah, the ladies love. I know there's matricide in his past. What do you call it, siblings? Well, it's not his brother, anyways. The point being, like, you killed my brother. Okay, no, I will say that here's something to talk about as well. The thing that kind of bothers me in the movie, and it's just kind of like a thing, it's like inherent in the story too, is like, I don't know, maybe the writing.
Look how much authority Rita Moreno has in the sequence, man. I love it.
I mean, look how much authority she has throughout the rest of the movie, man. She's so great.
But I'm saying in this moment in particular,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yep.
Right.
Anyway, so the thing, with Tony and Maria, honestly, just with the circumstance of Tony, a part of me was kind of hoping maybe we would have found a really good way to kind of maybe address this finally, but we didn't. Is the whole, like, I just wish Tony would have put in the dialogue, like, hey, they would have cleared up a lot of stuff. He was like, hey, I tried to talk him out of it, and then he killed my buddy. It's like, we're not saying that's like the one thing we're not saying. It's totally. Maria, I tried, but then he killed my buddy. But we're not saying that.
So this song is, to me, kind of like a great representation of the masterstroke of the Rita Moreno casting. Because honestly, Dragon, this song was originally a Maria and Tony song. And I think as a Maria and Tony song, it's very derivative. It's just like, all right, we get it. You two are in love. And once again, like the fact that you pointed out, like it's after the Bernardo thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that they gave it to Moreno, like, I feel like it elevates this song so much where it's like, it's one of my least favorite songs in the score, but I feel like it's one of my favorite moments in the movie. Just giving it to another character, man. Like, my God, I feel like it's a masterstroke, I think.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite part about the scene is I love how we showed that photo of her and Doc, really. It's kind of like a little catch. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're doing a little bit, like, we're kind of shifting between our scenes here, and we're seeing, like, the love to, like, the lost love here with Anita at the station, like that whole thing. Hey, like, I just want to call it, this kind of occurred to me in the moment. Like, look at Krupke being a nice guy.
Totally.
Just, he's usually like, oh, my ulcer, I don't want to do this. But again, what doesn't help this scene is the whole, like, hey, romance after I killed your brother by accident. Well,
again, it's like the whole scene in the original was just that.
Yeah.
So this is a marked improvement.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, it's less kind of the opera, BS of like, like, bad things have happened. Let's get it on.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. There's no defending that. There's just no defending that.
And again, it's like to Spielberg's credit, it's like an impossible story point to kind of combat it. Well, I mean, unless he wanted to be really bold, and just like, no, they don't get together. What are you, nuts? Why would they do that? Unless he was to be really bold, but I mean, if you have to follow the story, especially if you're gonna like put all the songs in the movie, it's like, well, we need to really show.
Well, again, not like they literally could have just had Rita Moreno singing this whole song and just not cut to them. Like that would have been an option.
No, but still, it's the fact like the afterglow. Here's the problem. Anita has to chastise her. I believe the content. I'm going to assume the content of that song, even the original version, historically, is like the whole "you slept with the man that killed your brother." I mean, that's going to be kind of hard to do.
Yes.
If you take out the whole like, "hey, she slept with the man that killed her brother," so that's probably why they kept it in. If I'm a betting man. Yeah. And it's kind of nice that we go from like one Rita Moreno song to the character that Rita Moreno played with Anita. It's kind of fun.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like this, I'm watching the movie for the first time. I was like, okay, I don't buy this at all.
I mean, that cut of him like jumping up in bed, it's almost kind of like a romantic comedy cut,
Yeah, I know, which is really inappropriate. And to be fair, it's like Spielberg's first musical.
And also, just look how hunky he is too. I know he's like Marvel Cinematic Universe hunky.
No, he's not. Come on, he's not that hunky.
No, I know.
Yeah. That's aspirational, hunky. I can get behind that. It's like, a few crunches in the gym. Like if you ever got maybe it's like, before like the whole like speculated chemical injection thing in Hollywood of like, well, how the heck do they do
Oh
this?
God. Oh Jesus. Yeah.
I remember that was a thing. I think if not Hemsworth, Jason Momoa like said that once. Anyway. Yeah. Let's see. We're gonna be in a really uncomfortable position here. Like, that's what I'm saying. The tone is just really odd here. Like if she's reeling over Bernardo and like, hey, look who just had a happy time after Bernardo.
Right.
Like again, like Anita's having like a really kind of Oscar-worthy moment here.
Oh, she is. She is.
Yeah, and then you have kind of like, hey, plot. Yep. Can you imagine how terrible this would have gone if she just burst through the door?
Oh man, yeah.
Good. That's what I'm saying. There's a fine line to walk, and again, West Side Story can.
Did she really have to get that last kiss in?
Oh, she did catch him. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that. She did catch him.
And I literally think that they could have gotten away if they just didn't do that last like elongated kiss.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. And again, it just feels like I think we would have cleared up a lot here if we just said, "Well, Steve, we all saw Bernardo going after Tony in the first place at that dance." And again,
but to be clear, I mean, it's like Anita does not know that. Even if Tony cleared it up with Maria, I feel like Anita would not be willing to listen to the reason at this moment.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. But by the same token, I think Anita probably should have figured, like, yeah, this is probably going to be his fate, though. Like, if he were to go and like, he was always leading the charge against this gang. It was bound to happen at some point. But again, it's it's obviously she's right in the middle, reeling the loss. So it's. But still, to debatably plot as murder, though, that's where I mean, don't get me wrong, it's twisted. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for the story. It's just like something makes me like, oh man, I wish that character got a comeuppance. Because I think the big question is when she goes to Doc's and she says what she says about Maria was killed by Chino. Do you think that like was the plan from the beginning? Or do you think that was a choice in the moment?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
When Anita goes to Doc's and she breaks the news to Valentina, the whole lie about Maria being killed by a jealous Chino, do you think that is premeditated, or do you think that was in the moment after the bad thing almost happened to her?
I absolutely think it's premeditated. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's my read on it. Yeah.
And again, it's interesting because it's like Anita, just because of the cultural legacy of the character, she's kind of propped up as this. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a flaw because like she is very much in an emotionally heightened place.
Yeah. I think it's a step too far, but I'm not saying it doesn't serve the story though.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a surprising turn, but again, it's a turn of like, oh my God, she did that. I can't believe that she did that.
Like it almost kind of makes her the Judas of the story.
I know that's the thing. I mean, we go that's the impressive thing about this story is that we go in surprising directions with certain characters. Like Bernardo has hesitancy after he kills a man for the first time, despite all his talk and bluster. And Anita does something quite malicious, and it's Maria contemplates shooting someone.
Tony ends up killing someone, even though he's like reluctantly trying to get at it.
Chino's huge transition there. Like he goes from essentially the leader of the Sharks, ultimately. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. The fact that, Riff does not use the gun. Riff uses Tony. All that. Despite being like this, putting on
Ryan Johnson would love this movie.
Yeah. Yep. So I can imagine like Ron Johnson. Hey, Anna de Armas, you want to go to the movies? Well, yeah. What are we seeing? We're seeing West Side Story. Oh boy, so many subversions. I know, right, Anna?
Oh my God.
Just imagine like anyway. Well, Ryan Johnson would be a lot better kind of company to go to a movie with than Ben Affleck, let's be honest. Nothing against Affleck, but I don't imagine Affleck would be a great movie company. I don't know. Affleck's the guy probably talking through all the commercials.
I did not expect that offhand Rian Johnson thing to get traction. All right.
Like all the trailers,
Yeah, this scene, I don't necessarily think this scene has to be a song.
Neither do I.
And I think that is probably like, sort of like an adaptation issue.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's interesting how In the Heights like cuts out some very pivotal songs, and this one keeps everything in. It's like, I don't know, it's very interesting how it's like two different approaches to the adaptation thing.
Let me ask you this, T. I got a musical question for you.
Uh-huh.
So thinking back to stuff that like kind of adapted music in ways and certain songs were kind of made like let's take the music out there, but let's put it in the credits. How would you feel about if we took songs from West Side Story if we didn't adapt, like Krupke, for example? What if we just like put it in the credits or something, like during like some stage?
Krupke is kind of like that's an interesting example, just because I feel like a lot of that scene kind of relies on the physical comedy, and obviously, like with physical comedy, you can't really get that with just the song over the credits.
Right.
I mean, I know. I certainly think a song like this would be over the credits. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, songs, like if you took songs that maybe did not necessarily,
or the song they sing in the church, particularly.
That's what I'm saying. What if we took the oddballs and just put them in the credits anyway? So, yeah, a couple of people, maybe they'll sit through, maybe they won't, but they'll have the songs. They'll be on the soundtrack anyway. So why not?
A lot of times, what movies will do is that they'll incorporate the melody of songs that they cut into the score.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ah, poor Maria. Look how sad she is. Yeah. Well, luckily she has a place to go. Unfortunately, she's gonna have a heck of a time sending a message.
Yep.
Not gonna go well. We're doing the lighting the candle thing. Oh, I completely forgot about this. There's a nice ceremonial bit they were doing there. It's like,
It is. It is.
Okay, this bit with Chino here. Chino steps up.
Like, I really feel like he's got a better arc in this movie than he does in the other source material. Like, I feel like he's written, like, the general, like, beats of his character are the same, but just, again, like, with the performance, with, how the actor carries himself and how the camera carries him. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of, like, little moments, little touches with Chino that just get elevated. Let's see.
Of course, pulling the gun out when they're really kind of like going after him. So again, there's like a power play here. Like, man, Chino stepped up.
Yeah, I like how he goes from like the meekest member of the whole gang to like, okay, like no, like we're serious about this. Like we can't fuck around with this.
Yeah.
And him kind of calling out Bernardo's flaws.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. It's like he was really again. It was very much the Tony and Riff dynamic, but with the idea like it came by if I were a betting man, I'd say he probably met him like I don't know if they were at school at the same time, perhaps, or like at the very least, like they probably like he took in a boxing match one day and then they kind of became friends. I'd imagine. I don't know. These are things we don't really need to know, but honestly, I like the idea that you get a sense that there was a friendship there, but maybe not like from womb to tomb as Riff and Tony frame it, but it's more like kind of like just like kind of like as young men, maybe. I don't know.
Sure. Again, I think it's funny that this guy just has such a Spielbergian like government agent presence. He's like the quintessential Spielberg government agent.
Seriously, Corey's still underrated actor. He's really good in everything he's in. And here's the thing. So I love how this works in the crux of our story here, where basically we do two things. One, we do that whole English, the whole English and no subtitles thing. Where okay, our characters cannot communicate in a language that he's not going to understand because he's forcing them to speak English, which basically necessitates it. So Maria sends Anita a coded message and asks her to run an errand for her. which basically
Right.
gives her all the power to do the shady thing that she does, which is really interesting. And also, it's like him really jabbing the knife in there. The whole like, oh yeah, you weren't married though. Like again, the whole common law married versus
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. There is a lot of like moral ambiguity going on within the last act of this thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the moral ambiguity kind of like makes way to not a happy ending, but a mutual ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see kind of the gears just turning in her head about, what she's going to do, the play.
Yep. Of course, there's like just like she doesn't want any of this. She's just kind of mad about the whole situation, and it's this whole like it's basically Anita's like like okay, I have an opportunity here. Do I help her or do I basically cut it? There's also a question like how malicious she is being. I like to think that she is like she's just being like, I know Chino's looking for him. We've just reestablished that if they're as in love as they seem to be, like as basically Bernardo and I used to be, and as twisted as that is, she doesn't deserve love. She doesn't deserve that happiness. For her own good, I'm going to ensure that this boy dies.
But you're right. It is a little bit of a petty revenge in a way. It's kind of like if I can't have my happy ending, then she can't either. I'm not going to just stand here and, to be fair, it would be a hard fucking pill to stomach, like your sister getting together with the dude that murdered your fiance. I mean, that is, that is some family conflict.
And
that's
again,
going to be an awkward Thanksgiving.
I would like to think it's not entirely like revenge. It's less revenge on Maria, more revenge on Tony. It's more like for her own good. I'm going to make sure this boy gets killed like I want him to get killed.
I feel like it's kind of like a for her own good thing with a tinge of like, of malice on the side.
Yeah, like again, more there's definitely she's upset with her, no question. Of like, I will not let this stand. This relationship will not happen. This is unholy. I won't let it stand. Like you don't sleep with the guy that killed your brother. Just simply not done.
Right.
Yeah. Also, this
just
is
the idea that they left him lying in the salt.
Yeah. That's a shame, especially given that we see the whole like Tony gets kind of like the pallbearer treatment. They probably would have done that had they had time before the cops got there. Now, anybody getting the big moment in the sun here with the whole like they're giving anybody respect and basically making anybody a jet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, nobody. I should mention this. Anybody. So I was thinking about the Bob Odenkirk movie for a millisecond. No, but anybody. Anyway, it's sort of a big pivotal plot thing because anybody was there in the gym reporting back on the whole, like Chino has a gun, which is really important information to have, which is why they're putting Tony in hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's anybody being very useful, kind of in the shadows, on the streets, that sort of thing.
Yeah, very much a pivotal role in the story for sure. Kind of like the kind of like the unsung hero in a way.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here we go.
Leave.
Yeah, this is an uncomfortable scene for many reasons.
It's especially uncomfortable on stage. Because I have seen a performance of West Side Story.
Huh. Okay.
It wasn't like a Broadway performance or anything, but I saw a community performance. Anyways.
Yeah. So,
God. Actually, you know what's funny about that performance?
What?
The guy that played Bernardo had a splitting resemblance to Rob. And so it's like, that's the second time that I've encountered a villain who looks like Monkey.
Oh, God. It's one of our associates, folks.
Yes.
That's really... But still, not seriously, not as gobsmacking as Luca, though. Let's be honest.
Well, let's put it this way: it was very much like Rob. Like I just saw your Hispanic doppelganger.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's like, what if there's like a doppelganger in every nationality for Monkey?
Oh God!
Because we've seen the Italian one, and we've seen the Hispanic, Italian.
All right.
Okay, so the other thing is, so you look at this like Ania's doing kind of like she's doing something kind of. I feel uncomfortable saying because I want some. I feel I end up at this story. I want something bad to happen to her. Definitely not this. Though this is too far.
Yeah, and I really respect Spielberg for keeping this in because I really do feel like it.
Yeah, no, because for what Valentina says, you need this scene. That's yeah.
Because it just makes all the conflict and all the moral ambiguity all the more potent, I think.
And also, very interestingly, it shows like kind of like not a brother, like a womanhood, I guess, of sisterhood. Sorry, I know I was blanking on that. A sisterhood of the ladies coming out there. Where again, traditionally it's like the whole the girls mature faster than boys. You'd think that perhaps like they're seeing kind of like the commonality between them. Like, hey, a woman's about to be violated, and that's not great, and we don't want that to happen. They're being chased out of the place. So again, there's kind of so again, it's kind of the bridge. It's such a shame that it takes violent, abhorrent things that bond people together.
So in the stage play, Doc basically just kind of gives all the boys like a little slap on the wrist, whereas Rita Moreno is just straight pissed, and I love it. That's such a good change.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like right now. No, I'm sorry. I delivered the bombshell. Now, for a moment, I was thinking maybe she got it in the moment, but no, it already happened. So yeah, we're on the same page. They actually premeditated the whole thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, but this
I don't really think there's much ambiguity to that, to tell you the truth.
This is the tragedy, though, the Anita carries. The fact she had her whole to be in America song like after she's like nearly raped. Actually, wait a minute. No, it's happening right now. That's kind of a shade of ambiguity. Like maybe that whole moment gave her contemplation. I don't know. I like to think it's the other thing. I'm just saying there's a change there when she turns. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It is a little bit.
Because she was about to leave, and then she wait a minute. Like they made me think of how much now I hate America, and that really upsets me. Maybe I'm gonna.
Maybe it might be just like the assault that kind of like tips her over the edge. I think.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, either way, I like to think I don't know. I kind of read it as premeditated, but still in the moment though, it was entirely possible. Either way, she still did something really bad though. I think any way we could slice it, it's like, hey, she signed his death warrant. That ain't nice. And again,
all right, this is my favorite Rita Moreno moment. I fucking love her performance here.
I know all of your names since you was born.
Mm-hmm.
Watched you grow up. You grown into a rapist.
I mean, again, it hits so much harder than just like Doc being like, "I'm very disappointed in you boys. You should know better."
Yeah, this will never happen, but it would be a really good scene, like a really good scene partner for her, just in something. Mark Margolis, like her and Mark Margolis in a scene together would be amazing.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah,
they play off each other really good, especially if he wasn't talking. But I'm just gonna,
What if we see her in a flashback as like Hector's mother or something?
Oh God, that'd be amazing.
Wouldn't it?
With 6 episodes left, never gonna happen. But it'd be amazing.
I know.
However,
maybe in the inevitable Gus Fring.
Yes. Yeah. Get that Gus Fring show. Yeah.
Which I am totally convinced is going to happen.
I want it to happen so badly, but we're getting off subject.
I don't necessarily want it to happen, honestly.
I mean,
it depends on how Better Call Saul wraps up. I might just be done with the Albuquerque verse.
Even if it were like an in-universe documentary, but regardless, we're getting off topic. So, this though, however, okay, this scene is this is probably Ansel Elgort's best played scene though. What he does when the news is broken to him. I love that he was hiding the whole time. I love that she kind of shields him from the horrible thing that just happened upstairs. The whole what happened? Like, what was all the noise? Oh no, nothing. So just there's a bit in here that kills me. How pleasant it is that he says to her. He says, "We'll name all our daughters Valentina." It's like,
oh my God, yeah,
that breaks my heart. And just seeing how Moreno's playing this, like this is Moreno's like a lot of people I'm sure like, oh, Rita Moreno's gonna work her into like a glorified cameo, but no, giving her like an actual role and letting her play own these scenes, man.
Like I said, she's like honestly like kind of the key to the whole movie in some ways.
I mean she's literally Switzerland. It's very, of course, we just broke Switzerland with that assault that happened upstairs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And again, her point about life matters more than love, and that's going to be Tony's undoing. Here's his good writing. And again, it would play a lot better if it was like a week, but again, that's an impossibility with our story, unfortunately. But
yeah, before I went to the field trip to the church.
yeah. So here we go, breaking those. And again, seriously, what Ansel Elgort does here, this is like his best moment of acting in the film. I feel like when her hand is like on his face, I think she's going to raise her hand to his face, and he just kind of right there, hand to the face, and he instantly reacts, and he breaks right there.
Yeah, really good facial acting for sure. Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm saying he's just lost all meaning in his life in one instance. It's just yes, that's great. Again, he's kind of playing like a Stella moment.
Again, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But he's playing it less broad. He's playing it more like. I love what Spielberg did there with like that tracking shot, like going away from her, like when Tony was leaving. This is what I'm saying. The best part about this movie entirely, outside of my favorite part with the whole the gate thing. They're both lifting.
Good.
But and obviously we've glowed about the cinematography, but the ending of this film is just perfect. It's beautifully tragic. Just this whole he's done hiding. He goes out of the safe the safe space that is Switzerland, and now he's just like in the set piece that has defined the whole movie.
In some ways, he pretty much has a death wish at this point.
That's exactly what he thinks Maria's dead, so he wants to die right now. So he's telling Chino, like, shoot me, come on, I suicide by revenge. Let's do it right here, right on the bricks and mortar of the thing we did all this for. And again, he's so despondent, just ready to die. And the tragic thing of like right on the streets, like had he just waited 5 minutes.
Again,
it's like shit. This is the Shakespearean stuff I can get behind. This is why we really got to update Shakespeare in ways like this, man. We really do, because again, the Shakespeare at the core, the perfect dramatic situations, but we gotta kind of make it a little bit more kind of like sequential with the story. We gotta kind of
give Jon Favreau ideas for The Lion King too.
God. Am I crazy though? Like, wouldn't it be more interesting? We kind of took the whole let's decipher the ye old English.
The fact that he shoots him in the back.
Yes.
That's even more tragic, I think.
And remember, they hyped up
it coming.
The big thing that got me is that they hyped up the impact of the bullets. You see the holes formed in them. Like when he shot, you see it's. But again, his last moments, like a smile, seeing her one last time, learning that she's not dead. Again, it's the full-on Romeo and Juliet. This is how you update Romeo and Juliet, man. Not with Pocahontas. This is how you do it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. I bet you're happy with this. If I recall, he doesn't sing when he dies.
Yes.
It would have been really weird if he sang in his last moments. And I'm dying.
Oh God. No, that's what I'm saying, Dragon. All of his best performance moments come when he's not singing. When he's singing, it's like the downfall of his performance.
Yep, and again, I love that she's just had it with this bigotry, and they're both on either side.
This is Rachel Ziegler's Oscar moment right here, I think, right at the end.
Yeah, and she's just had enough of this stupid conflict. And I love how she just goes up to him, and it's the advantage of this guy likes her, so she can take the gun, and she might use it, and you believe it. I mean, I know it's deep down, they're not going to go that far. You part of you can kind of imagine with the power of the performance, she'll waste that guy right now.
I got to be honest with you. A part of me in the theater was kind of wondering, does Spielberg have the balls to do it?
Yeah,
like you said, the power of the performance, how good the moment plays. I do think that I mean, that right there should be emblematic of how well this movie is pulled off. The fact that, like, you know, we know that she's not going to die. If you're familiar with the Broadway show or the movie, you know she's not going to die, but you still feel like it's a distinct possibility.
I mean, again, with the Romeo and Juliet of it all, it's entirely possible. Like, well, I have a gun, so...
Right, yeah.
Yeah, would have been really dark.
How many can I kill, Chino, and still have a one bullet left for me?
God. You know, it's kind of poetic. If I recall, he was shot twice, so he had one bullet for him and her, essentially. So it's kind of like, like the relationship. So it's two bullets for the relationship. He took her bullet for it, and anyway, like he initially was shot in the shoulder, I think, and then it was like I think it was shoulder then chest.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I recall, like it's the Puerto Ricans and it's the Sharks and the Jets who come together.
Yeah, they both carry away his body together. Yeah, beautiful,
which is great,
symbolic ending for sure.
And, like the conflict is over, our leaders are gone. It was all for nothing. And again, it's going to fade away into obscurity, and no one's ever going to care about them.
Right. Wonderful ending, I think.
I know. That's what I'm saying. The ending of this, that's the thing. That's the thing of West Side Story as a musical, and in general as a play. It's like really, it's like, yeah, that's how you do it.
Just powerful storytelling, just in general. Like you said, very Shakespearean. Oh my God. Oh, Rita Moreno. I forgot about this. I honestly.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. Yeah. What she does here. So that's the thing. So what's even better? So here's the flourish I think Spielberg had. And I could be wrong here. I don't think the movie ended like this in the original, but what I love.
Yeah, more or less it does.
Well, I'll tell you tell me if
I think the difference, though, I think just the one element of Rita Moreno being there to comfort Chino, that elevates it.
What about, tell me this, do you remember if this shot, like particular, like this whole, like, shot right here ended
yeah, I'm pretty sure at least the coronation thing, because that's how it's done in the show.
All right. Well, yeah, I was hoping for, what I mean here is like this, we go up to like the fire.
That I'm not sure of.
That's what I'm saying, because to me, this is like the perfect, like I saw as I was like thinking the whole Kevin Smith effing credits. Like, yes. Because this is like, seriously, this to me is like the perfect way to end this film where, again, you go to like where
I love how Rita Moreno, she's comforting Chino, but at the same time, she's literally leading him to the police.
Yeah, she's doing that, but I just love that we end on like the balcony, essentially. And basically it shows everything in kind of in one shot perfectly. It shows the Upper West Side Story, as it were. It's like, I don't know.
Totally. I think you're right on the money there, and I don't think the original emphasized the balcony as much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If at all.
Just a perfect like final shot that again has the power, like Rita Moreno like leading him, and just everyone accepting their fates at the end of the day, which is how you probably should end most things. So Yep.
All right, so Dragon, this is a long ass movie, so let's just get some quick final thoughts out there. I don't necessarily think we need to talk through all the credits.
No, let's talk about Arthur Laurentiis.
There's good old Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah, or is it Bernstein?
Oh God, his dad knew Ansel Elgort's dad.
Yeah, good choreography, Robbins. Okay, no, in all seriousness, yes. I mean, final thoughts from me. Again, I like this a lot more than I was expecting to. I will admit.
Good.
So it's that again. I will say again. I think just fundamentally, you do have some story problems that are just again, even the greats like Spielberg just cannot crack the story nut on this. So again, looking at this as the ultimate update of like a Romeo and Juliet, I do really enjoy that. I think we got some good performances. Bernardo really stuck out to me. Where
would you put it on the Spielberg movies of this current millennium?
Okay, so current millennium. Well, the only competition by current millennium, like give me like the.
I mean, like 2000 onwards.
So 2000. Well, I mean, look. Okay, I will say objective. Look, personally, does not touch the terminal in my heart, but that's personal though. That's
dear God.
That's just started. Well, I'm just saying that's preferentially. It's by it's a little. I just like that movie a lot. I mean, objectively, yeah.
Catch up on the crackers.
My point.
That's what I keep going back to with that movie.
Okay, my point is I love the terminal. That's just my personal preferences in terms of like where like I think the only legit competition it would have in that kind of that era of Spielberg, if we're saying 2000s onward, would probably be. Oh, wait a minute. it doesn't touch Catch Me If You Can. So yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Catch Me If You Can was like in 2002 or 3. So yeah, that would.
I'd have to rewatch Catch Me If You Can. I think it might be like, I know I personally like it better, but that's just
I'm saying
guy.
When I'm thinking of the Millennium Spielberg movies, the three movies that come to mind are obviously The Terminal, which is a personal preference. Catch Me If You Can, objectively, I'd still say nothing's going to touch Catch Me If You Can. And then you have something like Bridge of Spies. So this is probably under those. Let me this way. For me, it's under those three, but I think objectively, it's probably under. I don't know if I can put it above Bridge of Spies. It's either under Bridge of Spies or it's under Catch Me If You Can, and like number two or three spot.
I would also throw in Minority Report. I think
Minority Report is good.
For me, Minority Report is the one that might objectively be better.
That's fair.
If anything else, just because I feel like the themes of Minority Report are just very relevant to today's society. But like Minority Report kind of predicted cancel culture in a way.
That's the thing. It's really hard to kind of place it because you also have like Munich's good, but then again, does not have quite like the cinematography.
Oh, Munich is Munich's good, but it doesn't have the drive that. Yeah. Anyways,
agreed. So the point. Let's get semantical about where it ranks.
Well, you know me, Dragon. That's literally my favorite thing.
Always got to assign a value to everything. We can't just have nice things. Point being, I liked it, and it was a good of the Millennium kind of Spielberg-y films.
All right, yeah. Cool. Okay, Dragon, what is next for Spielberg Month?
Which wouldn't put me on the spot. If I recall, it's let's see. Okay, I know what our finale is. I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. So it's either it's a coin flip. It's either The Post or it's The Color Purple. I just gotta remember which.
The Post.
Okay, The Post then, yes.
And The Post, Dragon, I've got to admit, I don't know how we're going to feel about The Post.
Yeah,
I remember being bored to tears the one time I did watch it. Who knows? Yeah, maybe it'll play better on a rewatch.
Let's just say, folks, The Post is kind of like we got to eat our veggies of the Spielberg.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's got Odenkirk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There is some Odenkirk.
There's a veggie and then there's a brownie.
If I remember, though, with Odenkirk, it's kind of just like whenever he pops on screen, it's like, oh, there he is. But it's not like a big role.
With the mandatory meal, there does come a brownie, and that brownie is Bob Odenkirk.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
You have the steak that is Tom Hanks, and then you have the brownie that is Odenkirk, and then everything else.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect much from Tom Hanks. I mean, I love Tom Hanks, but it's a very middle of the road Tom Hanks performance.
Well, let me put it this way: not like a prime, not a prime cut steak, but like a Salisbury steak. Like it's Americana. Okay.
Oh God, there we go. All right.
It does the job. It's it's as good as you expect it to be, but not like the best steak you've had.
I could sign off on that.
There you go. It's like okay.
It's maybe like an Applebee's steak. Let's say that.
Whatever. The point being, it's a consistent steak. Tom Hanks is the consistent steak. Anyway, food analogies aside, anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, bring us home then.
All right. Well, stay tuned until next time as we tackle another subject in the well-shot, wondrous, and whimsical world of Steven Spielberg on yet another thrilling installment of Spielberg Month. Tonight.